Good morning. The government's plans to silence migrant hotel critics.
Leaked emails exposed by the Telegraph newspaper reveal a secretive Whitehall unit is targeting social media posts critical of migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
Well, it raises fears of a government crackdown on free speech.
Well, the move has sparked accusations of censorship, with critics claiming that the government is stifling free speech amid rising concerns over immigration policies.
Shocking new figures reveal foreigners make up 1 in 8 of the prison population, with experts pointing to record immigration fueling the problem.
The 90-day pause on Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs expire. The US government announces sweeping new levies for scores of countries.
A year since the summer of unrest, today we return to the heart of our communities, where anger erupted and the pressures of migration are still being felt.
Should be calling out wrongdoing, actually. I mean, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's safe, and that's for each person to make a judgment. But I think it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose criminality where it occurs.
The Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, encourages people to call out crime as he recalls his own experience policing in an interview with our political editor, Christopher Hope.
And Yorkshire bursts with pride as the county celebrates Yorkshire Day. We'll be joining the festivities with vibrant markets, music, street games, all showcasing the best of local makers, food and culture.
And as a local councillor has stepped down so that his wife can take part in their town's gardening competition, we're asking, should you give up your career for your partner?
And in sport this morning, well, in the 5th test, England have the edge just about after a rainy first day, which left Chris Wokes with a suspected dislocated shoulder. West Ham's Lucas Paquetá may sue the FA after being cleared of match fixing, and probably the biggest sports news of the week, if not the summer, the first ever North London derby played in Hong Kong. Tottenham Hotspur beat Arsenal 1-0.
Ahead of a potentially very windy spell early next week, we've got some fine weather on offer over the next few days. Still a few showers, but otherwise plenty of sunny spells. Coming up in the forecast very soon.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I know we're probably not all going on holiday anytime soon, but you may be. And if you're flying out of Luton, then you could be in for a treat. Luton are operating a new library service.
Ooh.
Really?
For lilos.
What do you mean?
So lilos.
Waterproof books. Is that it?
No, lilos.
Is it like what you get?
No, but I think you've got to be on a lilo.
Yeah, right. So here you go. So it's called the Lilo Exchange Scheme. So you can pick up a used inflatable as you leave the UK.
I think that's a great idea.
And then so long as you drop it off when you return, then you get a free ticket for fast-track security next time you're at the
That's
airport.
a great idea.
I'd be in the market for that. That's a great
I think
idea.
it's a great idea.
Wait, so but then you've got to board the plane with your lilo?
Yeah, well, you're not very big.
Be deflated.
Well,
it would still be quite...
I'd be deflated if I went on with my lilo.
To be fair. I mean, if you had 60 people getting on a plane with an inflated lilo...
I'm just thinking out loud. But even when it's deflated, it can still be quite
Maybe they
large.
maybe you get your ticket and you pick it up at the other end when you get there or something. I don't know.
They're getting bigger though, aren't they? Have you seen those pink flamingos now?
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, it's like huge. Used to be just a nice little lilo.
Yeah.
Great big things. It's like a pedalo.
You would need it wiped down, like an antibac or something.
It'd be fine.
No, you'd have everyone's sun cream and sweat on it. You've got to think of these things.
The exchange, which will last... It only goes from today till August the 14th.
That's not very long.
We'll also take other blow-up poolside toys and seaside toys. So there you go.
Oh.
And so
What sort of toys?
if you've got a blow-up toy...
OK, fine.
You can borrow it.
Right, OK.
Give it
Make
a
sure
wipe
they're
down.
wiped down. Yeah.
Yeah, you need an antibac wipe for that, yeah.
No, but it's quite a good idea, and you get your free
Because I've done it where I've bought a lilo and then left it there.
Yeah, well, 36% of people, of Brits, admit to dumping an inflatable after buying it on holiday.
I think it's a really nice idea.
Can't be bothered to pack it back down.
Exactly.
But there's such a good market out there now for... It's not just lilos. You know, my pool party for the wedding.
Oh.
There was a big unicorn. Did you see that?
I did see the unicorn.
There was a unicorn, and there was a dragon, and there was a big
Frog.
blow-up frog, and there was a big ring.
And what
With a
did
cup
you do?
holder?
And
Like a wedding ring.
And what did you do with it afterwards?
We deflated them all, and they're all in at my house now.
Oh, you brought them back, though?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So what are you going to do with them now?
I don't know. Take them to Luton Airport.
Take them to Luton.
Yeah. There you go. So, let's
I've
not
got about 30 inflatables, and I don't know what to do with them.
quite a good idea.
I think it's an excellent idea.
There you go.
There you go.
Lovely.
Right.
I enjoyed that, thank you.
What may not be a very good idea is a secretive Whitehall spy unit, which reportedly has been used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
Well, according to The Telegraph, emails obtained by a US committee reveal that civil servants here raised concerns with social media platforms, warning that certain posts contained concerning narratives.
Well, the reports have sparked more concerns and accusations of state censorship, something the Home Office strenuously denies.
Well, meanwhile, the number of foreign-born prisoners in England and Wales is now higher than at any point since 2013, accounting for 1 in 8 of the total prison population. That's on the front page of The Times this morning.
Political commentator Andy Williams is here. We shouldn't be surprised at this, should we? The Home Office only last week announced that it was setting up an elite police unit to look at anti-migration sentiment online to try to quell the summer of unrest. The fact there's been a Whitehall unit doing it really shouldn't be a shocker, as disturbing as it is.
Well, I hear what you're saying. It's not this sort of secretive cabal of people who are looking to police people's thoughts.
Isn't it?
No, I don't think it is. That's how it's been positioned by some people. I think, there has to be a very delicate balance with freedom of speech, and particularly online. It's important that we let people, as far as possible, express their views, whether we like them or not, however reprehensible they might be. But there does come a point, or I believe there has to come a point, where if people are very, very clearly inciting violence in a very deliberate and very obvious way, there have to be limits on that.
But that's already illegal. Inciting violence is against the law.
Absolutely, but the reality is that platforms like Twitter and TikTok, the reason that this unit has been set up is that the platforms aren't doing their jobs properly, which is to police content that could be harmful or dangerous.
Then why, if people are criticising two-tier policing, is that being flagged?
I think this two-tier policing argument, two-tier care, I think is really overblown. I do not believe that in this country there are double standards depending on who you are or what you're saying. I just don't think it's true. I think people have taken a handful of isolated incidents and inflated them to create this narrative that, frankly, in some cases feels like a conspiracy theory to me.
But this unit is flagging videos which they say contain concerning narratives.
Well,
so who's to decide in a country where free speech is imperative and important to all of us, what is a concerning narrative and what isn't?
That is where the balance has to be struck, and it is really challenging and really, really delicate. You're quite right. One person's concerning narrative is another person's obvious truth. Now, what we really need with this is transparency. I think we need regular reporting from Whitehall on what they're flagging, how they're doing it, what the processes are, and who are the people involved. Because if we don't have transparency, then absolutely people are going to fill that vacuum with their own thoughts on what they see as a spy unit.
So, do you have no concerns then, despite the fact that this has been going on and we've only know about it because of a United States committee that has been looking into this? Because of their concerns about free speech here.
I don't have no concerns. I think it's important that this is done in the right way. But I also think it's important that it's done, because the reality is there are too many platforms where there is too much really dangerous stuff being said. And when I say dangerous, I don't mean things that I don't like or things that I disagree with. I mean people who are saying things online like they were during the Southport riots last year, where they were talking about, frankly, inciting racial hatred. And I don't think we can have that online.
Can I ask you about the front page of the Times today, which is 1 in 8 of all prisoners were born overseas. So this is costing the taxpayer £580 million per year, according to the newspaper this morning. Robert Jenrick is saying that we need to introduce emergency measures to deport the entire foreign prison population by threatening to suspend visas from countries that refuse to take them back. What do you make of that?
So firstly, I think it's right that there should be strings attached to British citizenship. I don't think we should just say you can come here and acquire rights to live and work in this country and then have a blank cheque to behave however you want when you're here. I definitely don't think that. And actually, we do deport people who commit serious, violent and sexual crimes, and that's the right thing. And actually, Labour... and actually...
Do we? There are 10,772 foreign national offenders in British custody at the moment.
Yeah. So it used to be the case that foreign nationals could be deported after serving 50% of their sentence. Labour have reduced that to 30% of the sentence.
Well, but hold on. Why then, at £54,000 a year on average per prisoner, are we letting them serve any sentence here?
Well, it depends on... Firstly, it depends on what the crime is and it depends on why they're being banged up, right? So some of these people are people who are on remand, awaiting trial. We obviously can't deport people just because they're accused of a crime. Actually, foreign nationals disproportionately are denied bail because there's a high risk of them absconding to their home country. So we need to look at, what the breakdown is there.
Right, 3,000. I can tell you, 3,781 on remand.
OK, so that's nearly 40%.
6,673 serving sentences.
Yeah, and I think, absolutely, if people have committed anything approaching a serious crime, they should be deported immediately. I actually don't see why they should serve 30% of their sentence and then leave. But the problem with people like Robert Jenrick and the proposals that he puts forward is that none of the nuance we've discussed comes into the conversation. He just says, get rid of them all tomorrow. He also doesn't mention that if the prison population is 1 in 8 foreign-born, the entire British population is 1 in 7 foreign-born. So actually, foreign people are underrepresented in prison, if anything.
Well, it's not. I think it's a slightly odd headline, isn't it? Because if foreign-born doesn't mean they're not. But there's a difference between people who are foreign-born but who are now British.
Absolutely.
Compared to people who are foreign nationals.
Yes.
That's the difference here.
Yeah. And of course, again, every case is different. If somebody, let's say somebody came here legally as an economic migrant last year and almost immediately committed some horrible crime, they should be sent straight back. But if it's somebody who was born in Sudan and came here when they were 1, well, OK, yes, they're foreign-born, but is that anything to do with the recent rise in immigration? No. So, and that's my problem with the way this story is being positioned, is that it's all through the prism of immigration, and actually there's a lot more nuance to it.
OK. Andy, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Well, a government spokesperson said, in regard to the free speech issue we're just covering, free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy. The Online Safety Act protects it. Platforms have a duty to uphold freedom of expression, and the Act places no curbs whatsoever on what adults can say and see on the internet. However, we make no apologies for flagging to platforms content which is contrary to their own terms of service and which can result in violent disorder on our streets.
Now, 13 minutes past 6, breaking news overnight. President Trump has unveiled new tariff rates targeting countries that are yet to strike a trade deal with the United States.
Well, that means, because we've got a deal, the UK is spared from further hikes, with our rate remaining at 10%, because we have that deal in place that was sort of signed in June.
Canada, however, has seen their rates hiked from 25% to 35% in a new executive order.
There's backlash elsewhere as well, with New Zealand vowing to push back after its rate was increased from 10 to 15%.
Well, US political analyst Eric Ham joins us live now from Washington. Good to see you this morning, Eric, and bring us up to speed with what's gone on overnight.
Well, prices are going to get a lot higher for Americans. And while Donald Trump certainly is going to tout these higher tariffs, it's certainly going to bring enormous amount of revenue into the U.S. government coffers. But given the fact that we've already seen inflation trickle up a bit, the question now becomes if, in fact, Donald Trump can actually get deals with many of these countries where these tariffs are now looking to be much higher than they were even just a week ago.
Yeah, but I mean, this is, as we've seen before, it's a negotiation tactic, isn't it? And it's worked in a lot of cases. It worked for us here in the UK. I mean, there's a very real possibility, isn't there, that these higher tariffs may be short-lived?
Well, yeah, you're right in the fact that it has worked in terms of Donald Trump wants these tariffs. I mean, this is something that the president has been touting for over 40 years. And what we have seen, quite frankly, is he had a baseline in terms of what the negotiated rates would be, anywhere from 15 to 20%. Looking at Canada now with 35% rates, that is certainly going to be deeply troubling for a lot of those businesses and companies who have products now that are where those tariffs are actually outside of the USMCA agreement, U.S.-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement, where, but again, we're talking about 20% of those products. And of course, many of those products are certainly instrumental to the U.S. economy. We're talking steel, aluminum, and copper, which will impact the automotive industry and, of course, larger manufacturing. And we know in the United States, the automotive industry accounts for nearly 10% of GDP. So that could be deeply problematic for many of these companies. And of course, we know it's Ford Motor Company, one of the big three. They have already said that one of the losses they took in the last quarter is a direct result of the tariffs that have been implemented by President Donald Trump.
And how is this being received in the US, Eric? I mean, you're saying that the goods are set to get more expensive.
Yeah, that's right. And I think what we're going to see is a lot of pushback, particularly as we begin to see prices begin to rise on textiles. We know parents right now, they're going to really begin to feel the pinch as school begins to go back, and when back to school shopping and prices become much higher, we could see a lot of pushback. And of course, President Donald Trump ran on being able to bring prices down, get a handle on inflation. But right now, with these tariffs, that's anything but.
Yeah, well, except consumer confidence is growing in the States at the moment. It's 2 points up month on month.
Well, yeah, that's true. But again, we're going to begin to see these tariffs really begin to take effect. And if you look at the European Union agreement that the president just reached, we're going to see an increase in tariffs from 1.2% to 15%. And again, those are goods that are coming into the United States that are going to be priced at a much higher rate for Americans. That's just something that we're just not going to see people get around.
OK. Eric Ham, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's interesting. Because this whole consumer confidence, which is people looking forward to what they think it's going to be like over the coming months, is going up. So, and you know, if European prices are higher, can Americans not buy American? I mean, I don't know how it works, but it seems to be, in terms of getting the deals in place that Trump wants, it seems to have been a tactic that for a lot of countries has worked.
Yeah. It's a negotiation tool, isn't it? It is. It's worked previously.
It is.
Let's see what happens.
Also, did you see, I don't know if you spotted yesterday, it was making all the headlines yesterday, about the immigration meme that the White House put out on Twitter? Yes,
with Jess Glynne's song.
So it's
the Jet2 Holidays song.
It's basically taking the sound off a Jet2 holiday advert and put it over pictures of migrants being deported from the United States. Yeah. Jess Glynne's gone mad about it. I don't think we've had any comment from Jet2 that I've seen. But what do you make of that? I mean, it's a very strong message. It's saying we're getting we're doing something about it. Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting one as whether you think it's the right way to handle it. But it's on the White House Twitter feed. It looks like something someone's done at home, and you sort of go, oh, look at this kid that's done this.
Probably a Gen Z.
But it's on the White House Twitter feed.
Yeah.
I don't know. It made me have a bit of a smile yesterday.
But then they had something very similar with Trump a few weeks ago, didn't they? Where they set him to music. When he came, where did he go? I'll have to look it up. But anyway, it's similar, and it was pop music set to it.
But it's like...
That's quite well. There's clearly someone very young in the social media department.
We're getting on with it.
Yeah. I think the images and the videos are very powerful. I don't know if you necessarily need the music.
I don't know. It gives it an extra...
Engages people, I suppose.
It's just interesting. I don't know if I'd sort of agree with it or not, but I looked at it yesterday and thought, oh, yeah, well, I can see what they're doing. They're making a very clear point with it.
It's a viral trending sound.
It is a viral trending sound, but Jess Glynne isn't very happy. I'd never heard of Jess Glynne.
Well, she's known for that song.
Oh, right.
That's
Well, there
about
you
it,
go.
I think, really. Anyway, let's know what you think on that one. gbnews.com/you'll say.
19 minutes past 6. Now, university tuition fees in England are going to rise by just over 3%, with the maximum annual fees for standard full-time courses increasing to £9,535. Of course, most of them charge the maximum, don't they? It was announced by the Education Secretary in November last year. It marks the first increase since 2017. Maintenance loans will also rise to support students facing higher costs.
Heathrow Airport has unveiled a £21 billion plan to build a third runway within 10 years, submitting proposals to the government. The expansion would boost annual flights to over 750,000, requiring the M25 motorway to be rerouted into a tunnel. While pushing for a full-length runway, Heathrow says it's open to a shorter option.
And a case of bovine tuberculosis has struck Diddley Squat Farm, leaving Jeremy Clarkson and his team devastated. He put it out on X that a pregnant cow has tested positive. He's also revealed that the farm's prize bull Endgame, recently bought for $5,500, returned an inconclusive test result, raising further concerns.
Now, shall we get a check on the weather with Ada McGibbon?
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a fine start out there for many of us. Bright spells will continue through the rest of the day, but further showers are expected, particularly across central and eastern parts of the UK. And it will feel a little fresher with our winds coming from the north-northwest. The heaviest showers as we go through the morning are expected across parts of northern England, into the Midlands, as well as East Anglia and the southeast. Some more persistent rain perhaps into the far east of Norfolk and Suffolk as the day goes on. Brightest weather towards the west and the southwest. Temperatures reaching 23 Celsius, so a little cooler compared with the last few days. But a fine day for many away from those showers, and even where we've got the showers, plenty of bright spells. And it will brighten up further as the evening approaches, most of the showers disappearing. A dry end to the day for Western Scotland into Northern Ireland. Cloud well broken, particularly around coastal areas, and I think for parts of northwest England, North Wales, some decent sunny spells are expected into the evening. The south and southwest lies a fine end to the day, 1 or 2 showers just continuing for a few hours across the Midlands as well as the North Sea coast. Then we go overnight with clear spells widely and a cooler night compared with recent nights. Still some patchy cloud and a bit of a brisk breeze blowing down the North Sea coast, but temperatures dipping widely to 10 or 11 Celsius, perhaps staying up in the mid-teens in some urban areas. Saturday starts off with plenty of sunshine, particularly towards the west. It's in the east where we've still got some patchy cloud, 1 or 2 showers developing as the day goes on, and a breeze down the North Sea coast. But away from those showers, actually decent sunny spells for many. Saturday's looking like a fine day before the next area of cloud, and rain approaches in the far northwest, and then a more unsettled period Sunday into Monday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Sorry, I've just remembered the music that was in President Trump's video. No, we were talking about earlier. Daddy's Home.
Cliff Richard.
Usher.
Oh.
Daddy's Home.
That's the difference between me and you.
But it was very amusing.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Good song choice.
We'll dig it out.
We will.
Right, at 23 minutes past 6, time for the Daily Reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Nimsabunge, and I'm the pastor of Freedom's Ark, a member of the Evangelical Alliance here in the Tottenham Town Hall. Jesus says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 25, agree with your adversary quickly. There is wisdom in dealing with conflict early. Left unchecked, anger can grow cold and bitter. Writer Anne Lamott once said, not forgiven is like drinking rat poison, and waiting for the rat to die. Sometimes we avoid reconciliation because it feels like it's surrender. But often, it's the strongest step we can take. We may not always find agreement, but a timely word or quiet kindness can close that door on resentment before it takes root. Let us pray. God of reconciliation, give us courage to forgive, wisdom to act early, and grace to restore what is broken. Amen.
We've been talking about music that the White House is setting to their videos. I wouldn't call it a promotional video, perhaps you would. So this is the one that they used President Trump. It was a few months ago now.
I just want to get your attention. Hey girl, I really want to be all up in your head. Yeah. Is it you say daddy's home for me?
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
6:29. Now, 12 months ago, Britain was on the brink. In the wake of the horrific Southport murders, emotions ran very, very high and unrest poured onto the streets.
But 12 months on, with protests against migrant hotels breaking out, we're asking this morning, has Britain learnt anything? And are our communities more divided now than ever?
Let's talk to the former head of public order at the City of London Police, Kevin Hurley. There are questions, of course, Kevin, as to what happened a year ago. Obviously started with some false information, but nevertheless, the issue of migration obviously proved a catalyst to bring that to the fore, rightly or wrongly. So what have we learned a year on as to how we should deal with what are legitimate concerns?
Well, I mean, I think what we've learned is if Labour doesn't do something quickly, they're finished, because we are seeing a growing build-up of resentment in the public about uncontrolled illegal migration as opposed to legal migration, because, of course, to enter the UK or without the correct documentation is in fact a criminal offence. Anyway, we are seeing a build-up of resentment up and down the country, particularly with these hotels and these essentially young men being planted on people's villages where there are different cultural values and different ideas, and people don't like it. So what have we learned in terms of the police? The police learned, again, not quite the lesson of 2011. They learnt that they need to get sharper at mobilising assets and deploying them to trouble spots to try and control what's going on. They're in a worse position than they were in 2011 because they've got less public order trained people, less officers now want to do that kind of work these days. And it's apparent, funnily enough, from the recent incidents in Essex and the US president coming over, that they still have not got their mobilisation processes correct to move people around the country, because you had the unusual situation where Kent police officers were driving through Essex to go up to help the Scottish police, and Northumbrian police officers on the border of Scotland were driving right down, passing the Kent officers on the way to help Essex. So from a policing point of view, they still need to get their mobilisation processes sorted out. I don't think we will see trouble to the same level that we saw in 2011, because this is a different type of riot or protest. These people who are coming out around the hotels and so on are essentially ordinary people who live in the localities. Yes, some troublemakers come in, whether they are from some extreme right-wing group or from Antifa, but they're not the same as the 2011 ones, where they were essentially opportunist inner-city yobs who went out looting, and the only way the police, of course, could control the riots then is when the looters' arms got too tired to carry anything else. So, in conclusion, I think the one lesson that comes out here is that the government needs to do something radical to take away the attractiveness of the offer for people to come here, and putting them in hotels or even housing multiple occupation is not going to stop it. The only way is to replicate what the Australians did, or even indeed what Trump has done in America, which is put them straight into detention camps, where of course they'll get their basic food and they'll get a roof over their head and medical, but they will not be allowed to walk around, and they will not be able to say, look at the great life we're having.
OK, Kevin Hurley, thank you so much for your time this morning.
So you'll have a view on that, gbnews.com/yoursay. Love to hear from you this morning.
Now, if you're travelling to work this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M9 between Junction 3 and Junction 4 faces restrictions in both directions because of ongoing planned maintenance. Please approach this area with caution and expect additional travel time. Additionally, the A40 both ways from Gibraltar Tunnels to Mitchell Troy is closed due to road maintenance, with diversions in place. Expect some delays as a consequence. Furthermore, on the trains, Hull Trains is running a reduced service today due to industrial action, and London North Western Railway is also experiencing reduced service between Bedford and Bletchley. For For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now it is the last day to see if you could become £54,321 richer in our biggest ever cash giveaway. Lines close at 4 p.m. this afternoon.
4 p.m.
So the clock is ticking. Here's how you enter.
There's only a few hours left now to see how you can win big. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close at 4 p.m. today, so get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back. It's
Welcome
time to
back.
go through the latest sports news with the broadcaster, Paul Coyte.
Broadcaster,
Yes. Yeah, right on
That's
cue.
what
Very
broadcasters
good.
do. Thank you very much. You never do that, do you?
No.
Is it an old thing?
It's a very old thing.
Is it? Yeah.
I'd
We
like
do-
to bring it back, though.
Well, because we
I
haven't
think
got scripts. Well, you haven't got scripts.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
But I thought they just did it when anything that was
Around their notes.
Very odd. I don't know.
I don't know. I never understood it. Really.
Should we look at the cricket?
Yeah, let's do with the cricket first. Now, I'm going to try and make the cricket interesting because I know for a fact that people who are not really into cricket are just thinking, oh, cricket. But it is, well, who could I possibly be talking about? Fifth test at the Oval. England won the toss yesterday. Now, this is what's going to make it interesting because I don't think you were here, Stephen, the day that I mentioned how many times India have lost the toss.
Oh, what's here?
In a row, yeah. Can you remember how many it was?
Something like 17.
It was crazy. It was 14.
All right.
So then I'm now watching.
Thanks for remembering
It was a
those,
very important toss yesterday.
Was it?
Because England, whoever would win the toss, would want to bowl first because of the wicket. Now, I'm not going to go into the differences of wicket, etc., but it was a bowler. You want to bowl first. Ellie, are you still with me?
I am still with you.
So, India, the toss goes up. They lost again. The 15th on the bounce. So now, do you know... Stay with me.
All right.
What are the odds of losing 15 tosses on the trot?
Slim to none, I'd say.
10,000 to what?
32,768 to 1 is the odds. So India lost that, and England chose to bowl. They probably would have expected to bowl India out, but India got 204 for 6. But there was a very nasty injury to Chris Wokes. I think we've got a few pictures of this. Who, look now...
Oh, dear.
What is that saying to you there?
It's his arm.
Shoulder injury, possibly dislocated his shoulder, trying to field. So is there a chance that he's going to play the rest of the game? I very much doubt it. He's not going to be able to bowl, but they may put him out to bat with a dislocated arm.
Right.
Ooh,
OK.
Looks painful.
Lucas Paquetá.
Have you had enough of the cricket already?
I do, yeah.
I'm just getting going.
I can't wait for the
we're done.
16th toss.
OK. Well, who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows? The odds
would
will
double
go.
to over 64,000
Would it?
to 1. Yeah, I believe that to be the case if they lose again. But then again, they're not playing again because it's the 5th test.
Oh, yeah.
Right, Lucas Paquetá.
Yes. Yes. What's happened with him?
Yes, Ellie, what is your question?
Has he been
What's
cleared?
happened
He was
to Lucas
cleared.
Paquetá?
Is he suing the FA?
Well, he could well be. The thing is, I don't want to be talking about 32,000 to 1, etc., because it's all spot fixing and there's some gambling going on that's going on there. Now, this is the story, is that he was accused of spot fixing. In other words, there were some questionable yellow cards that he was given 4 times. So they're always looked at very carefully, and it was alleged that there was a lot of betting that was going on in different betting markets around the world when this happened. Anyway, the most important thing is that he has been found not guilty, and he was completely cleared on this. Now, the FA wanted a lifetime ban, as you'd imagine, because you can't be cheating. So now it's a question of whether he will take it further. So it's this is the worst thing that you could be accused of in sport is basically cheating and getting money for it, for throwing games. So now what does he do? Does he actually go for damages, where you could think that maybe he could make a lot of money out of this? Sponsorship deals that he would have lost because nobody's going to touch him with a barge pole. Manchester City were interested in him, so now they'd said no, they didn't want him. So either he goes for more money and tries to get that, or the deal's completely collapsed and they'll just draw a line under it. So that's where we are at the moment.
I think he could get a lot of money from that.
Would you do that?
Yeah.
You'd go for it, or would you say, look...
No, in his position, I would, yeah.
Yeah, because his name is cleared, but it's always going to be associated.
It's public
even
opinion,
though
isn't it?
he was found completely innocent.
Very, very quickly, North London derby.
Yes. Well, really, I should have led with this, really, shouldn't I? Spurs 1, Arsenal 0. In Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong.
It happened yesterday, at the Kai Tak Stadium. Look, these are fans from Hong Kong. See, it's a worldwide game. There's the Spurs fans. They look like a very sensible bunch. I hope they're not goading the Arsenal fans. That looks...
the Arsenal fans, they look a bit... Oh, dear.
Oh, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. So anyway, there they are before the game. They weren't looking quite so happy before the game. Anyway, it happened. It was around lunchtime, so evening time in Hong Kong. So even though it's a friendly, and even though you'll have Arsenal fans and supporters and club will say that it didn't matter. Obviously, it didn't. You could see the players were getting stuck in because it's still a North London derby, even though it was in Hong Kong. So for me, it counts.
Of course it counts. It always does.
Of course it does.
Happy man,
Thanks,
happy
Poichi.
man.
Pleasure.
All right, Nigel Nelson and Claire Pearson are going to take us through the papers in just a moment. First, though, is your European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal, into parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is the small boat crossing that everyone can cheer on, going from Fulham all the way back to HMS President in the city of London. It's going very well. I've walked 10 miles this morning with some armed forces veterans, their families, campaigners. GB News is raising money for SAFA and other armed forces charities as part of that Armed Forces Day celebration. Amazing viewers and listeners have raised £2,000 already. And after that gruelling 10-miler, which I have to say was done at quite a gentle pace, are now being treated to this luxurious return back to the starting point on board an HMS, a Royal Navy vessel. This is President 01. This is a training vessel that they use for reservists and also Royal Navy sailors as they make use of the Thames. We've had some great sights already. As we've been going back, we've seen plenty of people taking part in that SAFA 13 Bridges march, waving down on us. I think they're probably slightly jealous that they're still working away and we're enjoying the hospitality of the Royal Navy. But over 1,200 people taking part today, Dawn. Over 150 of them military reservists like myself and Will Mayrick, the producer for today's programme, doing excellent work. He's an RAF officer, in fact, I have to call him sir, which can get very embarrassing. But we're doing great work today, I think, really showcasing the armed forces. It's been amazing to speak to so many veterans, their families, and also many serving personnel on this March day as well. And we're just coming under, there's Vauxhall Bridge there. We've got MI6 to the right, very exciting. Always a beautiful sight, that iconic building. And there's going to be a lot of people still on the march as we go past, we accept. We just had some waves from the bridge earlier.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
6:48, time for the papers with former political advisor Claire Pearson and our senior political commentator Nigel Nelson. Good morning, you two.
Morning.
Right, Nigel, The Guardian. There's all this sort of disagreement, it would seem, within the Labour Party as to whether we should be throwing in wealth taxes in the next budget.
Yes, and this all comes from Annalise Dodds, who, as we know, resigned from the Cabinet as International Development Secretary, but was formerly Shadow Chancellor, so she knows a bit about what she's talking about.
Well, she wasn't in the job for very long when she decided she wasn't very good at it.
Well, I don't think she decided she wasn't very good at it. I think that Keir Starmer did. But the whole point is the idea of a wealth tax for Rachel Reeves to raise some money. I'm not saying this is the best idea. I think it's probably the least worst of the options that Rachel Reeves is facing. So it would depend on exactly how you design it. But as an example, if you had a one-off 2% tax on the 20,000 people worth more than £10 million, you'd raise over 20 billion.
Yeah, one-off. Yeah, pull the other one, Nigel.
Well, I mean, there are other ways of designing it. You can have a constant one. The constant one obviously has the danger of people leaving, whereas with a one-off, they can't.
Claire?
It is one of the worst ideas, largely because companies are not going to want to come and invest in the UK. Entrepreneurs are not going to come and think the UK is a great place to set up a business and therefore won't employ people. You won't bring money into the Treasury. And it's interesting that the Labour Party always go to this. They always think, oh, look, those rich people over there will take some more of their money. But what if they do leave the country? Then you're not going to get it. But so many countries have taken up a wealth tax and have abandoned it.
If it's a one-off, they'll have paid the tax before they leave.
Yeah, but what's the stop? It's never a one-off, is it?
So that income tax was for the Napoleonic Wars, wasn't it? Was meant
exactly.
To be a one-off.
It's never going
well,
to
and
be.
then we had it forever, yes.
Yeah. It's never going to be a one-off tax. And those countries that had a wealth tax previously have abandoned it because it didn't bring in as much money as they thought. Initially, it did bring a revenue stream, but then it went down. You had more cases of tax evasion, people leaving the country, different kind of tax loopholes were created, so these people got around them. So it actually didn't solve any problem.
It's better than taking money off disabled people, better than taking money off pensioners, which is the alternative.
So you want to do down the economy?
No, what I'm saying is that it's not the best option, but if you're looking at what's available for Rachel Reeves, least worse.
What do all the models suggest will bring in higher tax revenue?
Well, higher tax revenue would come from actually raising income tax.
No, lower taxes. Lower taxes brings in more tax revenue.
It depends where it is. At a very high level, you're absolutely right, that often you find that if you can peg it slightly lower, you get more money. But it's things like income tax, VAT, employer national insurance, all of which Rachel Reeves says she won't touch. So that's the problem that she's facing.
She's going to have to break that promise, isn't she?
Well,
to be sensible, because even Nigel, if you're saying the wealth tax is the least worst option, is it worse or better than actually her breaking her promises and doing something about VAT or income tax?
Politically, to break a manifesto promise is probably the most serious thing you can do.
But she's boxed herself in. Has U-turned on so many things currently that
they
I don't
weren't
think anybody will actually
promises,
notice.
but a manifesto promise is a really dodgy one to do. I don't think they should have made that promise in the first place, by the way. But having made that promise, I think they've got to keep it.
But all they're doing is going after businesses because you've seen that the weasel words around not increasing the three main taxes that affect individuals, but they put that burden onto a business instead, which employs individuals.
But again,
so it's still going to hit people in the long term. Unemployment will go up, and it is looking like it will increase again.
But the problem is then if the money doesn't come from there, where? At the moment, there's no doubt that Rachel Reeves will need a big chunk of dosh come the budget in October.
Do you think they ought to really stop spending it? Stop putting a load of money onto pay increases for people like train drivers or those friends in the unions. Perhaps if they looked at a little bit of fiscal responsibility in their spending, they wouldn't have to start raiding people who are the wealth creators of the country. How about that?
But people deserve pay rises. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
There are a lot of people out there that deserve pay rises. Not
even the
level.
nurses are saying that they're not going for the 3.6% they've been offered.
Yeah, but would you rather have a pay rise or a job? Because it's something like 50,000 small and medium-sized companies have either closed or are considering closing since the budget last year.
Well, in the event that your job is under threat, then a decision should be made between the employer and the employee about changing the working conditions, including
No,
pay.
but that's businesses shutting down, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but you could make those decisions provided you involve the workforce. For the majority of people, that doesn't apply. So, of course, people should have pay rises at least to match inflation, if not just a bit above it.
But these aren't matching inflation, they're inflation busting. And now there are a lot of people sitting out there watching at home that think that they deserve a pay rise, and they probably do. Whatever job it is that they've got, everybody deserves to be recognised for their input into the workplace. They aren't going to get it, whereas you look at people like the train drivers, you look at resident doctors, they are getting an enormous amount and it's never enough.
All right, well, that's one story we've got through.
Well, yes, fireworks there. Nigel, thank you very much. You'll be back with us in about 45 minutes' time. Let us know what you think on those stories. Let's take a look now at the weather.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a fine start out there for many of us. Bright spells will continue through the rest of the day, but further showers are expected, particularly across central and eastern parts of the UK. And it will feel a little fresher with our winds coming from the north-northwest. The heaviest showers as we go through the morning are expected across parts of northern England, into the Midlands, as well as East Anglia and the southeast. Some more persistent rain perhaps into the far east of Norfolk and Suffolk as the day goes on. Brightest weather towards the west and the southwest. Temperatures reaching 23 Celsius, so a little cooler compared with the last few days. But a fine day for many away from those showers, and even where we've got the showers, plenty of bright spells. And it will brighten up further as the evening approaches, most of the showers disappearing. A dry end to the day for Western Scotland into Northern Ireland. Cloud well broken, particularly around coastal areas, and I think for parts of northwest England, North Wales, some decent sunny spells are expected into the evening. The south and southwest likewise a fine end to the day. 1 or 2 showers just continuing for a few hours across the Midlands as well as the North Sea coast. Then we go overnight with clear spells widely and a cooler night compared with recent nights. Still some patchy cloud and a bit of a brisk breeze blowing down the North Sea coast, but temperatures dipping widely to 10 or 11 Celsius, perhaps staying up in the mid-teens in some urban areas. Saturday starts off with plenty of sunshine, particularly towards the west. It's in the east where we've still got some patchy cloud, 1 or 2 showers developing as the day goes on, and a breeze down the North Sea coast. But away from those showers, actually decent sunny spells for many. Saturday's looking like a fine day before the next area of cloud, and rain approaches in the far northwest, and then a more unsettled period Sunday into Monday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M9 between junction 3 and 4 faces restrictions due to maintenance. To avoid delays, drivers should approach cautiously and allocate extra travel time. The A40 is shut from Gibraltar tunnels to Mitchell-Troy for carriageway maintenance with diversions. In Leicestershire, the M1 southbound is impacted by animals, closing 3 out of 4 lanes between junctions 25 and 24, causing 15 minutes of delays, expected to improve soon. And on the trains, Hull Trains has a reduced service due to industrial action, and London North Western Railway services between Bedford and Bletchley are reduced. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. live. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The government plans to silence migrant hotel critics.
Leaked emails exposed by the Telegraph newspaper reveal a secretive Whitehall unit targeting social media posts critical of migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
Oh, the move has sparked accusations of censorship. Critics claiming the government's stifling free speech amid rising concerns over immigration policies.
Shocking new stats reveal foreigners make up 1 in 8 of the prison population, with experts pointing to record immigration fueling the issue.
The 90-day pause on Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs expires. The US government announces sweeping new levies for scores of countries.
1 year on since the summer of unrest, today we're going to return to the heart of those communities where the anger erupted and the pressures of migration are still being felt.
Should be calling out wrongdoing, actually. I mean, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's safe, and that's for each person to make a judgment. But I think it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose criminality where it occurs.
Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp encourages people to call out crime as he recalls his own experience of citizen policing in an interview with our political editor.
Yorkshire bursts with pride as the county celebrates Yorkshire Day. We'll be joining in the festivities this morning with vibrant markets, music and street games showcasing the very best of local makers, food and culture.
And flags.
And flags.
And as a local councillor has stepped down so his wife can take part in the town's gardening competition, we're asking, should you give up your career for your partner?
In sport this morning, in the 5th test against India, England just about have the edge after a rainy first day, which left Chris Wokes with a suspected dislocated shoulder. West Ham's Lucas Paquetá may sue the FA after being cleared of match fixing. And good news for Wales, or not so good for Lewis, I guess, but for Louis Rees-Zammit's NFL dream is over, which now means he'll return to playing rugby.
Ahead of a potentially very windy spell early next week, we've got some fine weather on offer over the next few days. Still a few showers, but otherwise plenty of sunny spells. Coming up in the forecast very soon.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Now, it's a Friday.
Is it? Oh,
it's 5 o'clock.
Happy Friday.
It's Crackerjack.
Yes, Crackerjack. Sorry.
We can't relate to this because we start early and finish earlier.
We work at stupid o'clock.
For people who work 9 till 5s, apparently, Friday, you clock off at 3.
Really?
Yes.
Well, actually or mentally?
Actually.
Oh.
This is data from Virgin Media.
Right.
And they say there's an 8% dip between 3 and 5% in the summer months. So people are literally just
Or is
switching
that
off
people
their...
working from home, though?
Working from home and switching off their laptops. Yep.
Okay. So that's the equivalent if we just walked out about 8:30?
Yeah.
Oh, should we then?
Yeah, on a Friday.
Sounds quite
Shut my
nice,
laptop and off we go.
Off we go.
Yeah. Now,
Smashing.
there's also a survey that backs this up as well. 10% of people take their laptop to a beer garden on a summer Friday. I think that's not a bad idea if you can work from the beer garden.
Yeah.
30% of 18 to 24-year-olds said they'd work from the car when they're travelling somewhere for the weekend.
How do they steer?
I know, it's really difficult.
Well,
It's very dangerous.
You get somewhere else to drive, surely, and you just be tap, tap, tap on your laptop.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I'd get
Unless
car
you're a
sick.
chauffeur.
And 24% said they often secretly left work early on a summer Friday and kept their work status to active. I think as long as the work's being done.
No, but this is why working from home doesn't work.
Well, if
because
the work's
people
being
skive
done,
off.
Yeah. I think you can do your work during the week and then finish at 3 p.m. on a Friday. I think that's quite nice.
If I was at home, I'd just...
Would
I'd
you
get
do?
too lazy.
Oh, you see, I'm the same.
I would.
I'm
I'd
the
find
same.
excuses just to walk away and...
I think it depends on your makeup, because I've got some friends who will just sit doing their emails at 10 p.m, 11 p.m. at night. They can't switch off because they work from home.
Right.
And I've got others that are just always in the hair salon and having their nails done and just constantly
Funny that.
working away on their emails.
Yeah, I'd be useless. I admit I would be useless. I would be lazy.
Let me ask you
No
a question,
good.
both of you, though.
Oh, no.
But you still work, though. I mean, obviously you do this, but there's work that goes on. So when do you work? You're always looking at stuff and writing stuff and during the day, so it goes on a lot longer, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
because I always am.
But it's different. It's different. You sort of absorb it more. You're always keeping across stuff. But would you count that as work?
But you never switch off.
You never
you never switch off.
to be fair.
No.
That's it. Whereas other jobs, they'll switch up. That's it. It's done.
Yeah, I
always
suppose.
on.
We don't have set hours in that way.
It's very difficult doing this job, isn't it? It's very difficult.
Extremely hard.
But the whole working from home thing is obviously a complete other world to us. We can't relate at all.
No.
Imagine having a laptop and having to do work at home.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's not as hard for us as it is for Nigel Nelson and Claire Pearsall.
Ah.
Because, obviously, they're doing the papers this morning and it was all very fiery. But they are married.
Yes.
Debbie's been in touch, saying how these two stay married is beyond me. It's nice that they don't agree on everything, though, and they can have these civilised discussions and agree to disagree.
Yeah, they're
it's
like
healthy.
Yin and yang.
It probably is very
Opposites
healthy
attract,
because you
all
can
that.
then argue professionally
Yeah.
and then walk away, oh, it didn't matter, instead of any grudge that will...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently they're exactly like this at home as well, because we have asked, and they're like this over the dinner table, aren't they, apparently? And the breakfast table. All tables.
They're fantastic.
All table, any table. Pub table.
But they like to debate, and that's good, I think, because in this country I think we have lost the art of debate.
Pool table.
And people are afraid to have a different...
Water table.
Yeah.
Different opinion.
Yeah,
Those two aren't.
We like to be surrounded by people who agree with us, and that's not always healthy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be challenged on your views a little bit. It's not a bad thing. Right, should we crack on?
Let's.
A secretive Whitehall spy unit has reportedly been used by the government to target social media posts that criticise migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
Well, this is according to the Telegraph newspaper this morning, and they are emails obtained by a US committee that reveal that civil servants here raised concerns with social media platforms, warning that certain posts contained concerning narratives.
Well, the reports have sparked accusations of state censorship. The Home Office, we have to tell you, denies that.
Meanwhile, the number of foreign-born prisoners in England and Wales is now higher than at any point since 2013, accounting now for 1 in 8 of the total prison population. That's on the front page of the Times this morning.
Political commentator Andy Williams is here. So basically, people in this country are going to be worried, or at least have some concern, that what they're putting on social media may not fit the government's narrative. That cannot be right in the United Kingdom.
I don't think that's right at all. I think
Really?
No, I really, really don't. I mean, we all have control over what we post online, and I think the first thing to say is that when you're posting online, you are publishing, you are a publisher, and you are subject to rules and restrictions. And
Except it's become like having a conversation now, hasn't it? It's like having a conversation.
It is like having a conversation, but it's not the same as having a private conversation in a private home, and people need to understand that. You have a responsibility, because if you're putting something out on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram, It's not a one-to-one. Other people can see it. And you have to take responsibility for things you put out into the ether. And if they are things that you or I might completely disagree with, that's fine, free country. But if they are very clearly inciting hatred, inciting violence, I think there absolutely need to be limits on certain posts. I really, really think that's the case. And the problem the government has is that the big tech companies are too powerful, more powerful than governments, really. They are so enormous financially, in terms of personnel, in terms of the technology they have, that they can run roughshod over governments. And so this is about the government trying to hold these companies, Meta and etc., to account and say, you have responsibility to regulate what is put out there on your platforms.
Or are they just trying to silence any criticism of their policies and the use of asylum hotels?
Well, if they were, and if they are, then that's completely unacceptable. I mean, you can't have units within Whitehall that are dedicated to shutting down criticism of government policy. But I don't think that's what's happening. I mean, there is no evidence that that is what's happening.
Well, except, but it's using phrases like concerning narrative. Well, that is so subjective.
And this is why I think the really important point here is transparency. The government needs to be absolutely clear about what they're looking at, how they're triaging, who is in charge of this, and what the process is. Because when that doesn't happen, you end up with conspiracy theorists, frankly, running wild. And there are all sorts of people, bad actors, bad faith actors, in my view, who are using this as an excuse to say Keir Starmer is the thought police and, George Orwell was right. Like, let's just calm down 1 second.
If you had a department that was, say, and it was revealed it was monitoring social media to see if anybody was breaking the law on social media, we know where we stand, don't we? If you are saying something which incites violence, incites racial hatred, incites religious hatred, these things are illegal in British law.
They are.
And therefore, if you've got a department which is looking to see if someone is breaking the law on Twitter, fine. But to say we're worried about concerning narratives on migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
Yeah, and that's why we need very, very clear parameters, and I think the government has a duty to be transparent about what they're actually looking at. In terms of the laws that already exist, you'd be surprised at the number of people who don't like those laws. I mean, I hear quite often that Lucy Connolly is a martyr. No, Lucy Connolly is where she deserves to be, which is in jail because she broke the law, she pleaded guilty to a criminal offence. She's in prison.
Can we ask you about the front page of the Times this morning, Andy, which is 1 in 8 of all prisoners were born overseas. I mean, this is costing the taxpayer. There's different figures here. The Conservatives are putting it at £360 million. The front page of the Times, £580 million, they're saying it cost the taxpayer. Robert Jenrick is saying that we need to introduce emergency measures to deport the entire foreign prison population and threaten to suspend visas from countries where these people come from.
So, I mean, a classic simplistic solution from a simplistic politician, in my view. I mean, it is just not as straightforward as that. Firstly, is it really right to look at a particular country and say, well, nobody can come from there anymore because a handful of people who've come from there to here happen to have broken the law? Actually, when you broke it down, we talked about this earlier, about 40% of the foreign-born people who are in British prisons are awaiting trial. You can't send people back to where they came from originally because they happen to have been accused of a crime. So it's really, really not as simple as this. I think what's important is that in order for the British public to have consent for immigration, and we know that's breaking down, in order for the British public to feel comfortable and confident in legal migration, we need there to be clear rules that say, if you come here and break the law, you will be sent back to your home country. I think that is right, and I think Labour's already made a shift to make it easier to deport people more quickly and more easily, but they could obviously go further.
Yeah, well, when we've talked to Labour ministers about these 10,000 plus foreign nationals in British prisons, and they've said, well, we don't think the British people would want us to deport them because they would want to see justice being done.
I think that's a cop-out answer. I mean, I think it is important that justice is done, and actually there is something about you know, serving your sentence in the country in which the crime was committed. But I understand the public look at a figure like whether it's 300 million or 500 million. It's a lot of money, whichever way you cut it. So I understand that people are upset about that. So we need to make it clear that there are strings attached to British citizenship, but it is not as simple as just saying deport the lot of them. And by the way, while the raw numbers, which is 10,000 people or so, that looks like a big number, but it's actually a lower proportion of people than the proportion of British foreign-born people in Britain. So it's not as simple as it might look.
OK. Just before I let you go, because you raised Lucy Connolly, I've got to ask you. You said it's what has happened to Lucy Connolly is right now. She did tweet something which would fall under the illegal bracket.
Yes, and she pleaded guilty.
And she pleaded guilty to that. That doesn't mean she's where she should be, does it? Because to get a couple of years in prison...
31 months.
Right, yeah. for a tweet, when someone who impregnated, in these grooming gangs, impregnated a 13-year-old girl, got 3 years...
Two wrongs don't make a right. That sentence clearly is unduly lenient.
Yes, but
you could absolutely argue that Lucy Connolly's sentence is harsh. But sometimes...
But it's very, very harsh, isn't it?
It's harsh, but it's within the sentencing guidelines. She committed a crime, and actually a pretty disgusting crime, in my view. You could say it's just a tweet, but you go out there and say things like that. I mean, I wouldn't want to say it on air.
No.
I think it's pretty despicable. So the way she's being held up as a martyr, I do find really shocking. And sometimes you have to make an example of people. And I think, absolutely, I 100% think it was right that she's been made an example of.
It's the optics, though, isn't it? When you've got the Lucy Connolly sentence, and then you look at stories like this and this Whitehall unit that's looking at people's tweets and deciding what is and what isn't a concerning narrative, it feeds into that idea that some people have that the elite, the establishment, are policing tweets and not policing
Of course, and there will always be people who weave a narrative that suits their political agenda that ties those things together. But I think that they are separate, and the reality is that Lucy Connolly and incidents like that are exactly why you need to have limits on freedom of speech. There are some people, including on this channel, who are free speech absolutists and say you should be able to say whatever you want online. That's not my view.
OK. Andy, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And we think free speech is a good thing on this channel, which is why we often agree to disagree. Loads of you getting in touch this morning on that one. I mean, I think the Lucy Connolly thing, it's a prison sentence. She definitely did something wrong, but a prison sentence? Anyway.
We've got some of the Trump administration who are very concerned about what they're seeing over here. I mean, that's what led to J.D. Vance speaking out about it in the Oval Office. So it's gone international, hasn't it,
anyway,
that sentencing?
You might agree with that. You might agree with what Andy's saying. Let us know, gbnews.com/yourso.
Anyway, on the issue of free speech, the government has given us this statement saying free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy. The Online Safety Act protects it. Platforms have a duty to uphold freedom of expression, and the Act places no curbs whatsoever on what adults can say and see on the internet. However, we make no apologies for flagging to platforms content which is contrary to their own terms of service and which can result in violent disorder on our streets.
Now, 16 minutes past 7, 12 months ago, Britain was on the brink. In the wake of the horrific Southport murders, emotions ran very high and unrest, I mean, partly as a result of misinformation, it has to be said, but nevertheless, we did end up in a situation where unrest poured onto the streets.
But 1 year on, with protests against migrant hotels breaking out, we're asking this morning, has Britain learnt anything? And are our communities now more divided than ever?
We're joined by former London police officer and director of the Law and Order Foundation, Norman Brennan. Morning to you, Norman. I mean, we do seem to be in a situation now where we're 12 months on from some pretty concerning scenes. I mean, perhaps the political rhetoric has changed slightly on this, but nothing's being done. And I don't know if we're going to police this in a different way, are we? Should these protests take hold?
Yeah, good morning, Steve. Good morning, Ellie. We haven't learned much at all. I followed what happened. A young man that had been fouled by Prevent went out and murdered mercilessly 3 innocent girls, stabbed 7 other children and 2 adults. We could have been dealing with 13 murders. He was fouled, apparently. So was Victoria Columbi 25 years ago. And all we ever hear about is lessons must be learned. We hear it year in and year out. It seems to be the trump card. The people that went on the streets, some of them went on there for criminality, absolutely. But to dismiss all of those, and I'm a leading law and order campaigner and a retired policeman in Britain, I share their views and their concerns in relation to illegal migration, the amount of crime they're committing, and how it's affecting Britain. Now, you can't dismiss all of us, although I wasn't on the streets rioting, but I too have concerns of being far right. We have a concern. Illegal immigration in Britain is absolutely out of control. It's the elephant in the room, and the government seem to be sliding around it with their face against the wall and not seeing or hearing the issues that most people in Britain have. I've never seen a country so divided. I've never seen a country so disenfranchised with its government and with its police. I've never seen a country so unhappy and so lost. And I actually joined them. And I'm coming towards that day where it's going to be soft music and mauve curtains. I love my country. I don't like what it's become. And I don't like the direction it's going in, certainly with illegal migration and what you were talking about earlier on, how many crimes they have and how much money they consume from Britain, where most people are on their knees and can barely pay their bills. There are tinder boxes all over Britain, and we're beginning to see them starting to go off. When they all go off together, we will not have the policing to cope. That's how serious things are, folks.
So what needs to be done then, Norman? I mean, Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, has said that concerns must be taken seriously and do more to alleviate them. But then we've got someone like Nigel Farage warning of civil disobedience on a vast scale if action isn't taken now. And already we've seen arrests, haven't we, in, well, protests in Epping and Canary Wharf.
Well, I'm a lead independent voice. I'm not in bed with any political party. And I've said recently, and I absolutely stand by it, Britain is in anarchy. There are no police on the streets. The public often feel unsafe walking the streets. There are no-go areas, and I'm ashamed to be telling you this. The public don't feel safe. And the government, I'm afraid, are so disenfranchised, as I said, they don't seem to understand how hurt people are in Britain. The answer, which is quite simple, and I'm just a normal guy like you, Ellie, a young lady, Stephen, a young man. If I wanted to get a grip of the problem, I would ensure that I would close the borders of Britain. I would have a boat like the Bibby boat, 2 miles outside. I will intercept all of the people illegally coming into Britain, just like Greece are, document them, feed them, make sure they're okay, then take them to a military airport and fly them out of Britain. Let's make Britain less attractive than more attractive. Now, you tell me anywhere in the country, would you, if somebody burgled your house, I'm talking about coming into your house illegally, would you put them up in a 4-star hotel? Would you pay all their bills? Will you give them everything free where all of your neighbours have chipped in to pay for somebody that has unlawfully come into your country? That is one of the biggest issues that we have. And in the last 8 days, folks, just under 1,900 people have entered Britain illegally. That's costing us taxpayers £55 million in hotel accommodation alone. We must get a grip, and I'm afraid the government, as I keep on saying, are disenfranchised with the British people.
Norman, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it. I think it's very interesting. We've spoken to 2 former police officers this morning, and their focus as individuals has been on the underlying problem.
Yes.
And not on how we police what is going on, which is in effect what we thought we'd be talking to them about. But it shows their real concerns as people who've been involved in law and order. They're basically...
That's understandable, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, they're basically saying you can't do much about it until you tackle the underlying problem. Which I think is fascinating. It's worth pointing out, and I think we should reiterate it, it's a year since the Southport problems started, the rioting. that was predicated on some misinformation, wasn't it? That the perpetrator was an illegal migrant.
A small migrant.
Yeah, which wasn't the case. It wasn't the case, and so there will be people who say, well, you shouldn't look at that because it was all on untruth, a lie, if you like. And yes, that's absolutely true. However, what it did do was it showed how much concern was bubbling under the surface about the migration issue, which then obviously came to the fore.
Yeah.
So it's not about conflating the two or that problem that there was at the beginning of this. It's about how that inflamed all of that concern that was in the country in the first place.
Yeah, and it highlighted that simmering tension. And what we've picked up from those two police guests that we've spoken to last hour and this hour is they don't think that simmering tension has gone anywhere.
No. But the issue, the reason I think it has changed slightly is, of course, last year Keir Starmer accused people of jumping on a far-right bandwagon. I don't think he would be using language like that this year if there are problems. I don't think he'd... I think he would realise... Well, I mean, it was absolutely crazy, wasn't it? Right. Anyway, lots of thoughts on that coming through. Keep that through. gbnews.com/yoursay. I'll just tell you that John's just been in touch saying politicians do not represent the best interests of the people or the country.
It's a trust issue, though, isn't it? It's a trust issue. It always comes down to trust. That brings us back to our first story today. About free speech.
Yes, it does,
social media. Anyway, keep those views coming in. Let's get a check on the weather with Aidan McGibbon.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a fine start out there for many of us. Bright spells will continue through the rest of the day, but further showers are expected, particularly across central and eastern parts of the UK, and it will feel a little fresher with our winds coming from the north-northwest. The heaviest showers as we go through the morning are expected across parts of northern England, into the Midlands, as well as East Anglia and the southeast. Some more persistent rain perhaps into the far east of Norfolk and Suffolk as the day goes on. Brightest weather towards the west and the southwest. Temperatures reaching 23 Celsius, so a little cooler compared with the last few days. But a fine day for many away from those showers, and even where we've got the showers, plenty of bright spells, and it will brighten up further as the evening approaches, most of the showers disappearing. A dry end to the day for Western Scotland into Northern Ireland. Cloud well broken, particularly around coastal areas, and I think for parts of northwest England, North Wales, some decent sunny spells are expected into the evening. The south and southwest likewise a fine end to the day. 1 or 2 showers just continuing for a few hours across the Midlands as well as the North Sea coast. Then we go overnight with clear spells widely and a cooler night compared with recent nights. Still some patchy cloud and a bit of a brisk breeze blowing down the North Sea coast, but temperatures dipping widely to 10 or 11 Celsius, perhaps staying up in the mid-teens in some urban areas. Saturday starts off with plenty of sunshine, particularly towards the west. It's in the east where we've still got some patchy cloud, 1 or 2 showers developing as the day goes on, and a breeze down the North Sea coast. But away from those showers, actually decent sunny spells for many. Saturday's looking like a fine day before the next area of cloud, and rain approaches in the far northwest, and then a more unsettled period Sunday into Monday.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us, still to come. I think this is very romantic.
Do you?
Yeah. A local councillor has stepped down from his job so that his wife can take part in their town's gardening competition, because she wasn't allowed to enter if he was a local councillor, you see.
Yeah, I get that.
Conflict of interest. So we're asking, should you give up your career for your partner? That's next.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh no, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Time for the sport. Paul Coates here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, I had to think about that.
Did you?
I did, yeah. Should we have... I want to start...
With the toss loss?
No,
the North London Derby.
With the North London Derby.
Yes, the North London Derby. Well, obviously, I'm completely on the fence and I've got no preference between one side or the other.
No.
Not biased at all.
But
you're delighted.
Hey! Sorry, calm down. So it was the first North London Derby, well, away from North London, I guess. And
yes,
it was in Hong
a little
Kong.
bit.
It was in Hong Kong. Look at the clouds there. It looks like it's going to get rainy. There's the Spurs fans. So there we are. Oh, is that goading going on? I hope not. Or is that just a friendly...
Friendly goading, I think.
I think friendly goading. And there's the Arsenal fans. So, obviously, it's a worldwide game, and we have a lot of supporters over in Hong Kong of both clubs.
Yes, Heung-min Son, did he play?
Heung-min Son came on as a substitute, but he will be playing in Korea when they play.
That makes sense.
Huge.
They love him in Korea.
I mean,
love him.
I can't even begin to tell you how famous he is in Korea, so I won't. But he is extremely famous. He's unbelievably famous. And we know how famous he is. He's still a lovely man, but he's going over there.
Nice.
And we don't know whether he's still going to be at Spurs next season. But anyway, more importantly, Spurs did beat Arsenal 1-0 with a goal by Pap Matasar from the halfway line.
From the halfway line?
From the halfway
way.
line. Lobbed the keeper. Very nice. 1-0 to Spurs. How was that? Was that pretty much
I think that was very good.
neutral?
It was. You did all right.
I don't think that was bad, yeah. But hopefully it's a good sign of things to come.
Well, let's hope so. You can't really look too much into friendlies, pre-match friendlies, pre-season friendlies, although in this case, I will.
Yeah. I would.
Right, cricket, fifth test at the Oval. I mentioned the toss is being lost by India, 15th on the trot. So England decided that they were going to have a bowl at India, 204 for 6. That's how India ended the first day, but Chris Wokes looks like he's dislocated his shoulder. See, there's a problem. You don't get substitutes in cricket, which surely is a mistake. Don't you think?
Yes.
It's the only sport, really. So he's dislocated his shoulder, so they can't replace him. So now it's whether he actually carries on and play. Obviously,
surely
can't bowl,
not.
But if he bats, just there as nuisance value.
Can they
and
pop it
stand
back
there.
in?
Yeah, but I mean, as someone that's dislocated their shoulder many times, it's
not as simple as that.
Is it? No, it's going to be very tricky.
Strap it up.
Super brave or maybe stupid to actually play if you've got an injury like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that continues today. Golf.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to do the golf?
Yes.
Lottie.
It's Lottie Wode.
It's Lottie Wode who's our new favourite sports person.
Yeah.
Now, Lottie is 21. For those that didn't know, Lottie was an amateur and she won the Irish Open, so she missed out on £400,000. Then she won the Scottish Open, so, I mean, she is really that good. World golfers. Good. So she's now in the Open, which... the British Open, but we just call it the Open. So she's 5 shots off the top, and so she started OK. 21 years old. I don't want to put too much hope on her, but she's the future of golf. Let's hear what Lottie had to say, because there were loads of people following her around, as you might imagine, supporting her during the game. So here she comes from yesterday.
Yeah, there was a lot of people from my club, my family here, and just the general spectators too. We're a lot with our group, so yeah, it was really nice. Everyone was clapping lots and being very supportive, so it was nice to play in front of them.
It's difficult because she's 21.
21.
And all
kids,
of
really.
a sudden,
Got a
everybody's
whole life
talking
ahead of
about
her.
So I'm going
Yeah.
to take the pressure off and not talk about her anymore for at least 10 minutes.
Can we talk about Emma Raducanu?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know,
And
you can
your
see the
favourite-
link, can't you?
Yeah. Well, a lot of pressure was put on her.
As in, yeah, a lot of pressure, great talent, young, but, you know, she's doing OK.
She's
She is
looking
doing
good.
well.
She's
got momentum.
She's got momentum.
She has got momentum. Where on earth did you get that from?
I know.
And she's still only 22.
She is.
We've got to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, third round of the... Well, she won the US Open when she was 7 years old, of course. So
Pretty much.
Still third round of the Canadian Open in Montreal. She beat American Peyton Manning. Amanda Anisimova next. Now, this I do want to show you, which is very important. Alexander Zverev played in Toronto, so playing in Canada there, against Matteo Analdi. Have a look at this. I'm not even going to explain it, but just watch the ball. So there we are. That's him at the top, Alexander Zverev. The ball goes out, and watch it land. Boom. How about that?
Where did it land?
Right in his pocket.
Oh, it's...
Have a look at it again. So for those listening on the radio, there's a rally. The ball goes up in the air after a shot goes out, and the ball
That
comes
is
up.
so cool.
And he just holds out his pocket of his shorts.
And it falls in.
And it lands straight in there.
That's smooth.
That
Very
is pretty
smooth.
impressive.
Didn't even flinch.
Didn't even. And he knew either he's got very big pockets or just very talented at doing that trick. Or a bit of both.
I'm really impressed by that.
Yeah. Pretty
I'm
good.
not gonna lie.
It's a cool little trick.
Look at that. Here it comes again. Ball
Bang.
goes then straight in the
in.
pocket. And you know the thing is, he just turns away.
Yeah.
Very nonchalant.
Like he does it every day of the week.
Every day of the week.
Very smooth.
I'm impressed with that.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. Thanks
Thanks,
very much
Coity.
indeed.
Now, you're into your final few hours to see if you could become £54,321 richer in our biggest cash giveaway to date. Lines close at 4 p.m. today, so make sure you don't miss out. Here are all of the details that you need.
There's only a few hours left now to see how you can win big. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British Giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close at 4 p.m. today, so get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Motorists should be aware of ongoing roadworks impacting the M9 motorway between junctions 3 and 4, likely causing significant delays. Travellers are advised to allow extra time and approach these areas with caution. Meanwhile, the A40 is fully closed from Gibraltar tunnels to Mitchell Troy due to scheduled maintenance, with well-marked diversions to ease congestion. And on the trains, Hull Trains is operating a reduced service due to industrial action, affecting several routes. Additionally, London North Western Railway reports a curtailed timetable between Bedford and Bletchley. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. We're going through the papers, aren't we?
Aren't we?
With former political advisor Claire Pearsall and our senior political commentator Nigel Nelson. Morning, you two.
Fan favourite, Nigel.
Yeah. Claire, should we start on the Times? Front page this morning, 1 in 8 of all prisoners were born overseas.
It's one of these headlines that is going to get everybody excited for varying different reasons. I think that it's really important to look down in the detail because a lot of the language used is about people who are foreign-born. Right, well, I'm foreign-born, and so is my dad. But we're still British. Does that count? Do people want to meet me? Should I be in prison?
I'm surprised that the Times have done this because the Conservatives, we're talking to the Tories later on, I mean, they're talking about this issue today, but they're on about 1 in 12 of the prison population who are foreign nationals, which is a different thing entirely.
Yeah, exactly. And I think all of these terms keep being used interchangeably, whether they are foreign nationals, if they're foreign-born or just general foreigners, then this muddies the water. Now, I do think that we need to look at the amount of foreign national offenders who are in prison and do we have the right to remove them and remove them quickly? Now, there used to be the red list when I was in the Home Office, which is something that people are starting to talk about. If countries have a higher proportion of people committing crimes and then won't take them back once if we request that, then they should be down the list for getting visas. So I think that is something that we need to look at. It did used to work quite well as a bit of a nudge to those countries to take back their offenders. That stopped in 2020. So it may be that we need to revisit stuff like that, have a bit more of a deterrence, but also deal with people who are on remand a lot quicker so that you haven't got a lot of people in prison without being charged.
Yeah, I mean, all that is absolutely right. Certainly get people off remand. I mean, the problem is it's the courts being cluttered up, which means people have to stay on remand longer. That's bad. We are trying to get rid of people. 35,000 have gone this year, amongst them foreign prisoners. What you also...
But once they've served a lot of their sentence.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is quite right, that if somebody commits an offence in this country, they should be dealt with under British law and then go into a British prison if that's the...
What, 54...
It costs us a fortune.
54 grand per person.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that it should be under British justice if they've committed an offence.
Why? I get that. I can say, but apart from the fact now, and especially when we're running out of prison places and all the rest of it, why not just get rid of them? They can become somebody else's problem.
OK, getting rid of them is fine if you've got an agreement with another country that they will serve their sentence in their home country.
Why do they even need to serve their sentence?
Then you just free them.
Well, yes, but they're not in this country and they can't come back.
Yeah, they're not in this country, but you're sending people home. They've got no sentence at all. What is the fairness in that?
But then it wouldn't be our problem, would it?
Well, it's all we would say it's not our problem, but shouldn't justice be done for those people?
Do you know the biggest problem that we had with removing foreign national offenders? We had a great list of people and we would put that up, and, of course, the last-minute objections would come in from mainly Labour MPs. When I was at the Home Office, they would seek to get these people off and claim all sorts of human rights. And these were very nasty individuals who had committed some quite heinous crimes. So I think the Labour Party now is suggesting that they might get tough on deportations and crime. I didn't see that. They were the ones who were writing in support of some pretty appalling individuals.
This is a different Labour Party from the one that you were dealing with back in 2018, 2019.
Really? I still remember the names of the MPs who are currently in the Cabinet, who were the ones writing letters into the Home Office at the time. So it's not that different at all, is it, really? But I think that we do need to look at it as a problem. I think that Nigel is right in that justice needs to be served in this country if that is where the crime is committed. However, I think that we need to look at the time people are in prison. 50% of a sentence spent here, I think that's too long. I think there needs to be some time spent in prison, especially for the victims of those crimes, to see justice being done, and then that person removed, I think would help.
OK, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/yoursay.
We're going to go to break in just a second, Nigel, but just quickly before we do, tell us about this viral story. No newborns called Keir since the Prime Minister took office.
No, but 5 newborns called Nigel.
Only 5?
Well, hang on a sec. There were none in 2022, 2020 and 2016, so...
Maybe Nigel.
Yes, I'll just take, I'll take the idea that we're making a little bit of a comeback.
So it's down to you. It's your time spent on GB News, Nigel, that's doing it.
That's doing it. Yeah, well, we were going extinct as a name, so it's quite nice to know that at least it's making a bit of a comeback. But yes, no Keirs of last year. Whether that's got anything to do with our current Prime Minister, we don't know. And
it shows he's not popular, though, doesn't it? Because, I mean, it would be... You would expect there to be at least a bit of an uplift.
Yeah, there are a couple of Kemis knocking about.
Are there?
Yeah, so that one's in. And quite a few Jeremys. So whether people are still harking back to Jeremy Corbyn, I don't know.
No, it's interesting. Stephen's never a popular name, which I'm really... Oh, I hate to say, I'm always really surprised at.
It might come back in.
I think it's a nice
one of those names, though, that everybody just assumes that you'll always have a Stephen.
Yeah.
You know, my son is James, and that's another one of those
solid,
sort of
solid
one of those
name.
Solid names. And I think that we all like those, and we just assume there'll be lots of them all the way around. Nigel being extinct.
Baby
I'm
Nigel.
glad it's making a comeback. It's quite sweet.
Do you know what? Do you know what I like that's making a comeback is Lilibet. 28 girls last year called Lilibet after the late Queen.
Yeah, but it was making a comeback. It was never there in the first place, was it?
Not until Harry, really, wasn't it?
Not until Harry.
Until Harry sort of...
28 last year, so I thought that was quite nice.
That's just taking someone else's nickname.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You don't like that? No, you don't like nicknames.
I don't like abbreviations, or if you know.
I think it's cute.
You know, I don't agree with anyone being named Jack.
Why?
Because it's short for John. It's a nickname of John.
It's not really short, is it?
Well, it's not short, no.
But it is.
So that if you want to be called Jack and you're called John, fine, but you shouldn't be christened Jack. It doesn't make any sense.
But what if your parents want to call you Jack and not John?
But Jack isn't that... It's not the name, is it?
But Well,
it's like
sort of.
Millie isn't, Millie isn't.
No, I'm with you on this. I think that you either have to go with the long name. It's so-called the Archies that are roaming around. Well, that's a shortened down, diminutive version of Archibald. So either go out there loud and proud with that name, don't put it on your birth certificate.
This is an extraordinary idea. If you want to call your child a certain name, whatever it might be, whether you call it sort of Zanzibar or Yellow or whatever.
Well, but if you meet someone called Ben, I often say, are you a Benjamin? Are you a Benedict? Because what if they sort of went, no, I'm just Ben?
Yeah, but what's wrong with being just Ben?
Because it's short for Benjamin or Benedict.
But it doesn't have to be, doesn't it? If you actually give them
Nigel.
give them their name.
Anyway,
this is Britain, Nigel. It's Britain.
We've got to go to a break, you two, but we'll be back in just a few minutes with more in the papers.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal, into parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy, into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
What I want to talk about now, though, is a Christian street preacher who was shut down by London's Transport Police outside King's Cross Station. Now, she has exclusively spoken to GB News, claiming that Christians are being heavily persecuted in this country and that police are not doing this to other religious speakers. Shocking, indeed, if true. Well, are we living in this two-tier approach by the authorities that we hear so much about? I'm delighted to say I am joined now in the studio by that street preacher herself, Monique Bailey.
It is true that the police did tell us that you need a permit, so that is truth, but it's the way it was handled. She was it was just astonishing. I just couldn't believe how a police person could come against us like that. Like, we were abiding by the rules. And by the way, I didn't actually put the full clip on just to, in a way, save her, because it actually got worse.
OK.
Yeah.
Monique, can I just quickly ask, if you take a step back and look at Britain, you know, as a Christian, you see the demonstrations that we've had since October 7th, some would say pro-Hamas, anti-Israel demonstrations, pretty overt displays of anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
We've had the Lucy Connolly case. We've had, I would argue, clear evidence of a two-tier approach within our judicial legal system. Do you think that we are actually now entering a society where some groups, some religions are treated much more harshly than others? Do you think, for example, if you had been a Muslim preacher in King's Cross Station, the reaction would have been the same?
Yeah, of course, every religion gets something thrown at them, but I do think, of course, Christianity is the most persecuted, and I do think we will see it more.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Claire, working from home,
I love it.
Do you log off at 3 p.m. on a Friday?
I don't really have log in and log out times.
Don't you? Very flexible, are we?
It is very flexible. I have an extremely good boss who allows me to create my own working hours, but I quite often will start at 7 or half 7 in the morning.
Yeah, right.
No, I do. It's because that's when she is up and that's when all the email conversations happen. So as long as my work gets done, she is of the opinion that I can choose the hours I work, as long as I'm available to speak to her whenever she needs it, including weekends and bank holidays, then that works. It doesn't surprise me that people clock off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. If you've ever been in an office environment before working from home became a thing, the amount of people that would be slacking in the office at 3 o'clock on a Friday.
Not if I was their boss.
Well, I mean, I would go for a 4-day week. I mean,
Here we go.
I mean, simply because 4-day weeks have been proven to be more productive. They've happened abroad. 61 companies in this country trialled it back in 2023. 9 out of 10 kept it going. They found that their workers took less sick days, were more productive during the week. It worked better. Why do we sort of have to put in hours just for the sake of putting in the hours?
But I think you have to be really careful by prescribing to a business. So a 4-day working week, what does that mean? That you're going to work Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday?
Well, that's for the company to work out with the employees. I mean, it's the same as working from home. There are certain jobs.
But the problem is it creates a two-tier system, doesn't it? Because it's all if you have the sort of job you can do it, great. But if you're a builder or a carpenter or a plumber,
it depends on the job. But the same as working from home depends on the job. You obviously, if you're a builder, you can't work from home.
No, interesting, isn't it?
And 10% of people admit to taking their laptop to the beer garden for some months.
Nigel.
Would you do that?
You would do.
No, I wouldn't. But as you say, I still look at my mobile phone all the time. Even on holiday.
And your notepad.
You
never without that notepad.
Never without the notepad. All right, you two. We'll see you a little bit later on. Thank you very much indeed.
Here's your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a fine start out there for many of us. Bright spells will continue through the rest of the day, but further showers are expected, particularly across central and eastern parts of the UK, and it will feel a little fresher with our winds coming from the north-northwest. The heaviest showers as we go through the morning are expected across parts of northern England, into the Midlands as well as East Anglia and the south-east. Some more persistent rain perhaps into the far east of Norfolk and Suffolk as the day goes on. Brightest weather towards the west and the southwest. Temperatures reaching 23 Celsius, so a little cooler compared with the last few days. But a fine day for many away from those showers, and even where we've got the showers, plenty of bright spells, and it will brighten up further as the evening approaches, most of the showers disappearing. A dry end to the day for Western Scotland into Northern Ireland. Cloud well broken, particularly around coastal areas, and I think for parts of northwest England, North Wales, some decent sunny spells are expected into the evening. The south and southwest likewise a fine end to the day. 1 or 2 showers just continuing for a few hours across the Midlands as well as the North Sea coast. Then we go overnight with clear spells widely and a cooler night compared with recent nights. Still some patchy cloud and a bit of a brisk breeze blowing down the North Sea coast, but temperatures dipping widely to 10 or 11 Celsius, perhaps staying up in the mid-teens in some urban areas. Saturday starts off with plenty of sunshine, particularly towards the west. It's in the east where we've still got some patchy cloud, 1 or 2 showers developing as the day goes on, and a breeze down the North Sea coast. But away from those showers, actually decent sunny spells for many. Saturday's looking like a fine day before the next area of cloud, and rain approaches in the far northwest, and then a more unsettled period Sunday into Monday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. This morning on the A40, the road is closed in both directions between the Gibraltar tunnels and Mitchell-Troy due to planned maintenance. Diversions are currently in place, so plan alternative routes. On the M1 northbound, one lane is closed between junction 14 and junction 15 in Milton Keynes following an incident. As for the North Tyneside area, a broken down vehicle on the A1 northbound between the junctions with the A1056 and the A19 has resulted in a lane closure. Travellers should remain cautious in these areas. And on the trains, Hull Trains and London North Western Railway are running reduced services due to industrial action. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The government's plans to silence migrant hotel critics.
Leaked emails exposed by the Telegraph newspaper reveal a secretive Whitehall unit targeting social media posts critical of migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
Well, the move has sparked accusations of censorship, with critics claiming the government is stifling free speech amid rising concerns over immigration policies.
Shocking new stats reveal foreigners make up 1 in 8 of the prison population, with experts pointing to record immigration fueling the issue.
The 90-day pause on Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs expires. The US government announces sweeping new levies for scores of countries.
1 year on since the summer of unrest, today we'll return to the heart of those communities where the anger erupted and the pressures of migration are still being felt.
The disorder last year marked a turning point, not only in politics, but in people's lives too. Today, we're in Aldershot speaking to people within this community to find out if they think anything has changed.
Should be calling out wrongdoing, actually. I mean, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's safe, and that's for each person to make a judgment. But I think it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose criminality where it occurs.
Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp encourages people to call out crime as he recalls his own experience of citizen policing in an interview with our political editor.
Yorkshire bursts with pride as the county celebrates Yorkshire Day. We're going to be joining in the festivities with vibrant markets, music and street games, showcasing the very best of local makers, food and culture.
And in sport this morning, with the 5th test against India, England just about have the edge after a rainy first day, which left Chris Wokes with a suspected dislocated shoulder. West Ham's Lucas Paquetá may sue the FA after being cleared of match fixing. And who said pre-season friendlies don't count? The first ever North London derby played in Hong Kong. Spurs beat Arsenal 1-0. No.
Ahead of a potentially very windy spell early next week, we've got some fine weather on offer over the next few days. Still a few showers, but otherwise plenty of sunny spells. Coming up in the forecast very soon.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Let's get straight into politics, shall we?
I think we should.
And cross live to Westminster and speak to the Shadow Home Office Minister, Katie Lamb. Good to see you this morning. Can I start by asking you about our top story today? We're talking about this secretive Whitehall spy unit that's been used by the government to target social media posts that are criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing. This is on the front page of The Telegraph this morning. It's reporting that officials working for Peter Carl, who's the Technology Secretary, have been flagging videos with concerning narratives to social media giants in the US, and they say it's to protect against tension on the streets. How do you respond to that story?
I think it's really worrying. I think even the idea of concerning narratives and what that might mean, who's going to decide what is a concerning narrative? Peaceful protest is a basic democratic right, and I think if the government is going to be monitoring people legitimately expressing their views, violent protest is obviously a completely different thing, and crime must always be policed and cracked down on. But it makes me feel very uneasy.
Argument would be that they're doing what the tech giants aren't doing and looking for, they are looking for criminal activity online. Rather than just stuff which would be of concern.
Well, where that activity is criminal, that's one thing. But I think the sorts of messages that you're talking about, these emails that we've seen that have been published, don't seem to refer to criminal activity or don't seem to indicate that they're talking about criminal activity. They're talking about people saying things that they don't like. Well, that is our right.
Mm.
What do you make of the scenes that we've seen in Epping and Canary Wharf, and Nigel Farage talking about simmering tensions and also saying that if action isn't taken quickly, then there could be a summer of civil disobedience on a vast scale?
I think it seems likely that we will continue to see protests. Many of these protests and many of the protesters are peaceful, exactly as I say, where they aren't. Clearly that will have to be dealt with. Nobody should be able to, the law is for everybody, nobody should be able to get away with breaking any kind of law or committing a crime, or certainly with being violent. But my fundamental worry is that I don't think that the government is listening to what people have to say, and these sorts of emails that have been sent to these tech companies evidence that as well. They'd rather just not have the conversation, and they can't do that. They can't get away with that.
Talking of criminals, 12%, the Conservatives are saying, of our entire prison population are foreign nationals. What should we do with them?
They all need to be deported. So the Conservatives actually in Parliament tried to amend the law, the Borders Bill that the government passed earlier this year, to say that everybody who commits a crime will need to leave the country. And I and my Shadow Home Office colleagues tabled those amendments and voted for them. The government voted them down, but there is absolutely no reason to have foreign criminals in the UK.
But how do you do that? Unless you've got agreements in place to return them, how do you actually physically do it?
Well, often the problem is that those agreements need to be enforced. So there are quite a few countries that make it quite difficult to return their foreign national offenders. And there are powers which were brought in the last few years that allow the Home Secretary to say, OK, well, if you're not going to take back your criminals, we're not going to issue you any more visas. And if we were to do that, I think that would make a substantial difference. Again, amending the Borders Bill, we tried to make it a duty for the Home Secretary. So she or he had to say, if you're not going to take back your criminals, we aren't going to let people from your country keep coming here. But again, that was voted down.
Are you suggesting that they should serve any of their sentence before they are deported? Because I'm just thinking now of victims of violent crimes, sexual assault, rape. This is a really important part of the justice process for them to see their perpetrator behind bars.
Well, the ideal is that people will serve their sentences abroad in the country that they came from. And like I say, we have a number of agreements like that, but they often aren't enforced. Ultimately, though, what I want is for these people to be as far away from the British people as possible.
Yeah, so you'd be satisfied, would you, to say, well, the punishment is that you're thrown out of the country you want to be in?
Well, the punishment should be that you go and serve your sentence in the country that you're from. But like I say, I think the fundamental principle should be that you aren't here.
I mean, there will be people who support this. However, we've got to ask the question, if this is something that the Conservatives passionately believe in, then why did, I mean, 2020, the red list system, which looked at something similar to this, that was scrapped in 2020 under the Conservatives.
Well, I was elected last year, so I'm a new Member of Parliament. And lots of these problems, I'm afraid, weren't previously solved, or we wouldn't have the number of FNAs in the country. I think it's 11,000 now, foreign national offenders, of whom about 7,000 have been sentenced, that we do. Some of those changes that I just talked about, some of the changes to the law to make it possible to force countries to take their prisoners back, were made by the last government in response to wanting to solve this problem. But clearly, there's a lot more to do.
We've just seen junior doctors strike action over the weekend, and we're now hearing that nurses are threatening industrial action ballot after rejecting a 3.6% pay increase. Nurses feeling deeply undervalued, say the RCN. What's your response to that?
Well, I'm actually not surprised that nurses feel, relative to junior doctors who've been given this massive inflation-busting pay rise, undervalued. But I think the problem that we've seen now is, what were some of the first things that Labour did when they came into government? They caved into the union's demands on pay on trains. They caved into the junior doctors' demands on pay. And the idea was supposed to be that this would end strikes. And I think we can all see where that ends up.
Can I just ask you, just to finish off, what do you think people will have confidence in what you're saying, that should the Tories get back into power, you will do all of this? You'll sort out the pay issues, or stand up to the unions on this, that you will sort out the prison system with foreign nationals in prisons, because I mean, a lot of the concern around both the government and the official main opposition is that you've been all talk and very little action over the past few decades, really.
Well, we're only, a year and a few weeks from the greatest political defeat, I think, in modern British history. I think it's right to say that the last government at the general election lost more seats than any sitting government ever. So clearly winning back trust with the public is going to take a lot of effort and it's going to take time. I believe that trust can be earned back, or I wouldn't do what I'm doing now, but I think the only way that we can do that is to be very specific. And so a lot of the things that I've already mentioned were laid, the law has already been written and drafted. We laid it as amendments to the Borders Bill. My colleague, the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, has put it together in a deportations bill, which we're also trying to pass in Parliament. So people can see very clearly exactly the law that they would be voting for if they choose to put our trust in us again next time. And of course, it's my job to make people want to do that.
OK. Shadow Home Office Minister Katie Lamb, thank you very much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
It is 8:10 now. Breaking news from overnight, and President Trump unveiled new tariffs targeting countries that are yet to strike a deal with the US.
Well, the United Kingdom is spared from further hikes because of our UK-US trade deal.
Canada, however, has seen their rates hiked from 25% to 35% in a new executive order.
And there's growing backlash elsewhere, with New Zealand vowing to push back after its rate was increased from 10 to 15%.
Let's talk to US political commentator Hilary Fordich, who's here in the studio. Good to see you this morning.
Morning.
What do you think he's trying to achieve here? Is he actually wanting now? Has he run out of patience and said these are the tariffs that will apply? Or is this just another last-minute negotiating tactic?
Actually, it's all of the above and a few other things. Pleasure to be here with you in studio, thank you. A few things. It's not just tariffs on goods. He's actually using tariffs as sort of a tool to accomplish a lot of other things. Think about the Canadians. They have just recognised Palestine as a state. So that's sort of you're naughty on them. Also, with regard to Mexico in particular, don't forget, this is also a drug war. This is also about drugs. This is also about fentanyl. More Americans have died of fentanyl deaths than in the entire Vietnam War. Like, this is really serious. So President Trump is trying to use tariffs and is using them to accomplish many other things. Non-tariff barriers have become a huge issue. He's trying to solve it all.
But it's a political gamble for President Trump, isn't it, in the sense that he was elected on a ticket of lower consumer prices, not taking actions that would do the opposite and raise them.
Well, actually, yes, except for what we're seeing is those tariffs aren't all being passed on to the consumers. A lot of companies are absorbing a lot of it because so far consumer confidence has actually risen under his presidency. And the consumer also, don't forget, people can spend more when they have more money in their pocket, which comes from jobs. So from all the reshoring and all the onshoring of manufacturing, which actually is going to take some time, but I reckon, and I would lay a bet with anybody, that by basically the spring of 26 next year, when so many of those companies have invested in the United States, reshoring is in the United States, and manufacturing comes back, when you have more in your pocket, you can spend more. That way you can actually deal with more of the tariffs.
Right. Inflation has gone up, though, hasn't it? In ticking up.
A little bit, yes.
But will the reshoring issue and getting much more manufacturing of these products in the United States, will that bring it down?
Eventually it will, yes, because when you have things manufactured in the United States, then the tariffs are lower. Right. So, yes, and that's what he's doing. He's encouraging all the car companies are going to be manufacturing in the US. They're going to be expanding their plants. Even BMW is expanding their plant. So is Toyota, so is Nissan, all of the Japanese companies and German companies, which is very good for America.
Where does this leave the United Kingdom in all of this? I mean, because there's a temptation to be quite glib and saying, well, we've only got 10% tariffs.
Yes.
Still 10% tariffs.
Well, yes, but I will tell you, the UK, very, very smart to get that done early. And by the way, the person in the world that should get down and kiss President Trump's feet, as far as I'm concerned, is Keir Starmer, because there was President Trump saying, oh, we've got a good relationship and he's a good guy, whereas you've just heard about all the issues that you were talking about, everything that's going on in the UK and some of the disastrous policies from the Labour government. But what I will say is the UK was smart. Get it done early. Get 10% locked in. We're not having to deal with all this uncertainty. So for British businesses to know about that certainty, that's the most important thing always for business and for the consumer to know exactly where you stand. No, the UK got a very good deal by doing it fast.
But many of the deals that have been struck have been verbal, haven't they? They haven't yet been signed. There's still quite a lot that needs to be hammered out.
You're right, not finalised. In fact, actually, the Chinese came out and said that the deal was sort of closer to being signed than it was. And also, there's some that are now wavering a bit, and that is also like Modi in India. That deal we thought was a done deal, and that's now sort of like wavering around. So, yes, they're not all done, but the UK is a solid deal, which is very good for the British consumer.
OK. Hillary, really good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Now, 12 months ago, Britain was on the brink. In the wake of the horrific Southport murders, emotions ran high and unrest poured onto our streets.
12 months on, protests against migrant hotels breaking out once again. Have we learnt anything? Or are our communities more divided than ever?
Well, GB News reporter Jack Carson joins us live now from Aldershot. Morning to you, Jack.
Morning to you. And the disorder we saw across the country last year proved a turning point, not only in politics, but with people, with trust in the community. And so a year on today, across the country, we're reflecting on whether anything has changed. Today, we're in Aldershot. Now, this time last year, 200 people involved in a demonstration turned then into disorder, and there were multiple arrests made, multiple people sentenced, and even a 13-year-old girl pleading guilty to being involved in that violent disorder. But here in Aldershot, there's a strong military community, statues dedicated to the likes of the Gurkhas who are based here. And we're delighted to be joined this morning by Councillor Gareth Lyon, leader of the local Conservative group. Gareth, reflecting on a year ago today, why do you think the disorder for you broke out? What was it that meant people took to demonstrate here in Aldershot?
Well, it is a real shame that we ended up there. So Aldershot and Farnborough have long been a great example for where integration and dialogue can really work. As you mentioned, we're the home of the British Army, and we've often had people from around the world who share our values coming here and integrating and making a really positive contribution to the local community. Certainly our Nepali population, who are here in strength, are really making that kind of positive contribution now. But you're right, a year ago we did see some very ugly scenes here. Thankfully, we are seeing a lot less of them now, but those concerns that underlie them are still there. People do feel that they're not being listened to, that their concerns are not being taken seriously, and attempts to try and shut down the debate are really not helping that and are potentially just storing up more trouble for the future.
So what are those concerns? What are your constituents telling you as a local councillor here? What are the issues that people are really, I guess, feeling like they're not being listened to on?
So it's real practical day-to-day concerns. People are concerned about school places, access to health facilities and support, but also other things like, for example, are their values being listened to? Are they being respected in the local area? And actually what we're seeing is too often the instinct from politicians is really to try and shut that down. They seem to be scared that this debate will lead to the kind of ugly scenes that we saw. In fact, it's the other way around. The kind of integration that we've had here only happens when you have the kind of dialogue that we've fostered so carefully over the years. But instead, when you try and call people names, intimidate them out of debate, or try and shut down free speech, you are really serving up more trouble for the future.
Now, there have been protests at a hotel which has asylum seeker migrants here. There have been protests this year. There are still more protests planned later this year. So thinking about whether a year on from that initial disorder anything has changed, people would look at the demonstration still happening and say, actually, nothing has changed.
Well, the concerns are still there. Even if you're able to push them under the surface, even if you're able to intimidate people so they won't raise their concerns, they are still there. And as I say, the only way that we've been able to make things a success here in Aldershot and in Farnborough has been to make sure that we do have a proper dialogue, that we do have that kind of community engagement, and that overall that politicians must be listening and showing that they are taking these concerns seriously. And until we do that, we'll just keep on seeing a return of the kinds of trouble that we had last year.
And I think it's important to note, people here aren't against immigration. You've mentioned there the integration from the Nepali community, the Gurkhas who moved here after Hong Kong was handed back to China, and the Brigade of the Gurkhas are based here. So people here aren't against immigration.
No, absolutely. So this has been the home of the British Army for a very long time, and we have always had people from around the world coming here who share the British values, who want to make a positive contribution to our country and to our community, coming here and integrating. There have been many great examples over the years. As you mentioned, the local Nepali population. What we've seen over the last couple of decades is more and more Nepali people coming into the area, setting up businesses, contributing to community groups and organisations, and standing for council. And that's been fantastic because we're seeing that kind of positive contribution. But that's only possible when we sit down and understand where people's concerns are and the way and the best way forward. And we're just not seeing that kind of leadership right now.
But thinking about those concerns, the disorder came a month after Labour had won the general election. You know, before that it was a Conservative government. So people will often point and say, well, a lot of those concerns that people had, Labour had only been in power for a month, so a lot of those concerns were legacy concerns from the Conservative government. So what did the Conservative government not do right? What do they need to do in the future to win back trust? Because it's a Labour MP here.
It is a Labour MP and a Labour government now. And you're right, all parties haven't been doing enough to foster that kind of dialogue. All parties have instinctively been trying to shut down that debate, and that's not been healthy. So it's something the Conservatives, as much as Labour, need to be learning from, and all parties do. We need to show that we are prepared to listen, that we're not just going to be shouting names at people if they raise concerns, that we're allergic to debate. We need to show that actually we're looking to foster it, and that we see that and that we are listening to people's concerns and want to respond.
Well, Councillor Gareth Lyons, thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us those reflections a year on since we last saw that disorder break out in places like here in Aldershot.
Jack Carson there for us in Aldershot. Thank you very much.
Right, it looks quite nice there in Aldershot, to be fair.
It does.
The weather is holding.
I think it's set to be quite a nice day.
Do you?
But I'm not the expert.
I know, Aidan McGivern is. Let's check in.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a fine start out there for many of us. Bright spells will continue through the rest of the day, but further showers are expected, particularly across central and eastern parts of the UK. And it will feel a little fresher with our winds coming from the north-northwest. The heaviest showers as we go through the morning are expected across parts of northern England, into the Midlands as well as East Anglia and the southeast. Some more persistent rain perhaps into the far east of Norfolk and Suffolk as the day goes on. Brightest weather towards the west and the southwest. Temperatures reaching 23 Celsius, so a little cooler compared with the last few days. But a fine day for many away from those showers, and even where we've got the showers, plenty of bright spells. And it will brighten up further as the evening approaches, most of the showers disappearing. A dry end to the day for Western Scotland into Northern Ireland. Cloud well broken, particularly around coastal areas, and I think for parts of northwest England, North Wales, some decent sunny spells are expected into the evening. The south and southwest likewise a fine end to the day. 1 or 2 showers just continuing for a few hours across the Midlands as well as the North Sea coast. Then we go overnight with clear spells widely and a cooler night compared with recent nights. Still some patchy cloud and a bit of a brisk breeze blowing down the North Sea coast, but temperatures dipping widely to 10 or 11 Celsius, perhaps staying up in the mid-teens in some urban areas. Saturday starts off with plenty of sunshine, particularly towards the west. It's in the east where we've still got some patchy cloud, 1 or 2 showers developing as the day goes on, and a breeze down the North Sea coast. But away from those showers, actually decent sunny spells for many. Saturday's looking like a fine day before the next area of cloud, and rain approaches in the far northwest, and then a more unsettled period Sunday into Monday.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Well, we're running out of time. We're fighting over who has the pleasure to tell you that you were down to your last few hours to see if you could win £54,321. It's tax-free, it's cold hard cash, and it could be yours if you enter by 4 o'clock today. Here's how.
There's only a few hours left now to see how you can win big. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British Giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close at 4 p.m. today, so get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes. Now, do stay with us still to come. Ew, it's Yorkshire Day.
Hello.
Hello. That's next.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Dale, so what's all this about? You're involved in this scheme. The idea is that people who've got depression need to get out and about, and football's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up really rather well there. Football is a place for communities. It's a place where you feel a part of something. I know this from my experience of football. I've been running Forest Green for about 15 years now. And chatting to our local GP, who happens to be also our MP, but we just had the idea, why don't we offer football on prescription? Because it'd be a lovely thing to do. Football is a great place to come and meet other people and be a part of something. And it could really help people that are feeling isolated and lonely and you know, other aspects of mental health. health. So I'm really happy to be taking part in this. And if it works here in Stroud, then we're hoping we'll roll it out nationally. And maybe even the NHS will embrace it as a national programme. That would be great.
This is football clubs that have signed up to voluntarily offer seats to be a part of this programme.
Yeah, and right now it's one football club, Forest Green Rovers, but I hope that football clubs up and down the country and up and down the leagues of football as well, because it doesn't have to be a Premier Championship club. You know, there are lots of great leagues in our country and local clubs for people to go and take part with. So yeah, it's not being paid for by the NHS. It's being paid for currently by Forest Green Rovers.
You're a businessman, though. Surely you must see some, some dollar signs on this one. Sell the tickets to the NHS.
Well, I'm British, so I don't look at dollar signs. But look, I'm primarily an environmentalist, and what I care about is making our country a better place. I spend most of my time pursuing the green economy, but I believe in tax justice, social justice, that kind of stuff. Mental health is a crisis in our country, particularly for men. It's the biggest cause of suicide for the under 50s. Men are affected 3 times more than women. Men don't tend to talk to each other. They don't talk about their problems. And so this is not about money.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Hey up, today is Yorkshire Day.
Yeah, this year the celebrations will be hosted in the town of Ilkley.
I love Ilkley.
Did you know Licorice All Sorts were founded by Bassett's in Sheffield?
I didn't know that. No.
Oh.
Anyway, former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak tweeted this morning to affirm his love of the country.
County.
County. It's a county.
Because it's God's own county.
It is.
Anyway, our reporter Anna Riley is in Ilkley. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hey.
By gum, what accents you've got there this morning. Happy Yorkshire Day and welcome to Ilkley. It certainly is God's own country, is Yorkshire. Absolutely splendid place, and of course we're so proud of our culture. We've got our own language, we've got our own sayings, and it's just a beautiful part of the world. Celebrated every year on the 1st of August. It's arranged by the Yorkshire Society, and it's all about celebrating our heritage, and it's going to be great for businesses as well as the town here today. We're going to have a procession of mayors coming through later this morning, the largest gathering of civic mayors in the world, and we're going to hear the town crier and also on Ilkley Moor bar taps, which means on Ilkley Moor without your hats. The unofficial anthem of Yorkshire is going to be sung. We're joined this morning now by Joe Smith. He's the retail manager of Lishman's of Ilkley, and of course a butcher with a pork pie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us about Yorkshire Day and what it means to you.
So Yorkshire Day for us is very good for the business and all the local authorities. It brings all people down to the shop celebrating Yorkshire Day. I think today will especially be great.
What is it about Yorkshire folk and about the countryside that we've got here as well, the moors, and what do you think draws people here?
Well, it's just the natural beauty, and it's away from everything. You know, we're not in the city, we're in a really nice kind of area. The people as well of Yorkshire, so it's a place to be.
Definitely, and it's quite a foodie place as well, is Yorkshire. Just explain to us what's gone into this large pork pie here.
So into this pork pie is many of steps, which has got outdoor bred pork, which is from Easingwold, and then we put a hot water pastry, and then we cook it, and then we put a nice jelly in there and get nice crusty pastry, and it's perfect to go with piccalilli or on national days like bonfire night served with mushy peas.
Definitely. And what else do you do at the Butchers? It's a family-run business, isn't it? Been going for 40 years this year.
Yes, so it started from 1986, weeks with David Lishman, and then now his daughter, myself and Andrew as partners. I've been there as an apprentice, and the shop there, we sell a range of charcuterie and we sell heritage breeds as well.
Definitely, you've got your cap on as well for Yorkshire Day. Just give us your favourite Yorkshire saying if you've got one.
It's got to be here by gum.
Here by gum.
Yeah.
I like it'll be right. It'll be right. It'll be right. Thank you so much, Joe. So that's Joe's take there. Of course, it's going to be a great day for businesses. It's the summer holidays as well, so we'll hopefully see a lot of parents and children turning out and enjoying the parade and enjoying the celebrations that are going to continue into the weekend. It's going to start from Bradford, the City of Culture 2025. That's where the mayors are currently gathering. They're going to get here at around 10 o'clock, and we're going to be here throughout the morning covering Yorkshire Day.
Oh, good stuff, Anna. We love you.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I love the fact, you see, what I love about it, and we can take the mick a little bit, but it's the fact that it's celebrating parts of Britishness.
I love Yorkshire.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well,
my mum's from Leeds.
Yeah, well, Gary's been in touch and says,
yeah.
Ellie, that was the worst Yorkshire accent ever.
Oh, I thought it was quite good.
No, unfortunately, and actually, we are in some quite serious trouble.
Oh, no. Why? What's happened?
Because Michael Booker, who is one of our very, very senior bosses here at GB
no, and he
News,
actually is our big boss.
Yeah, has said, as someone whose family is from Leeds, you and Ellie are now fired for those accents.
Oh, no.
I said, we'll leave our passes on your desk, and he said, unless there is a full on-screen apology.
Well, Michael Booker, this is for you.
So we apologise most sincerely for our very poor accents.
It's actually just deep love and affection. And I also have family from Leeds.
When you're in a hole, darling, stop digging.
Sorry, we apologise.
As you say, when you're in a hole, stop digging.
Stop digging. We need to stop doing the accents as well.
We do. I tell you, I love it, though.
Good.
I love it, though. We should have these celebrations for all regions of the UK and really mark it, because why not? There's loads of great stuff.
Essex should so have a day, and it would be fantastic. I'd go live. I'd do the programme from there.
What would that be, a Prosecco day or something? Prosecco and white high heels
white
day.
Heels, yeah, in Southend. We can work it out, or Sugar Hut in Brentwood. I mean, there are options. Maybe I should start the day.
I think I'd be too scared to come to Essex Day with you.
You'd love it.
Would I?
Yeah. It would be like a bottomless brunch.
I'd be terrified.
At breakfast. It would be fantastic.
Terrified.
Anyway, if you are travelling to Essex or Yorkshire today, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Traffic disruptions impact key routes. The A40 is closed between Gibraltar Tunnels and Mitchell Troy for maintenance. In Nottinghamshire, congestion on the A1 northbound between the A52 and A46 junction causes delays. A multi-car incident on M1 northbound between junction 14 and 15 closed one lane. Conditions should improve by 9 this morning. A vehicle breakdown on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 1A and 31 leads to lane closures. And on the trains, Hull Trains and London North Western Railway operate reduced services due to industrial action. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh no, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's time to go through the latest sports news with Paul Coich, just telling us a story about
a traumatic pork pie.
I had a traumatic pork pie experience.
Yeah.
I was at primary school and I didn't like the school dinners and they had pork pie once. And then I thought, oh, I like that. I like all the crust. But then so I said, oh, I'll have something. So they piled it on and I tasted it and there was so much jelly around it, which is the bit I really didn't like.
Oh.
And they made me sit throughout the entire lunch break staring at this dinner unless I ate it all. And it sounds like Oliver, doesn't it?
It does.
It sounds like Oliver Twist. But it was like I sat there, and so from then on...
Can't do pork pies.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Right, let's talk cricket.
Right, 5th test of the Oval, England won the toss. 15th loss on the... I know I keep going on about it, but I still find it amazing, the fact that India have lost the toss 15 times on the trot.
32,000 to 1.
32,768 to 1.
See, I do listen.
I know, and I'm really impressed that you do, and I appreciate it. So England chose to bowl under the conditions. It seemed like the right thing to do. They probably would have expected to bowl India out and do slightly better than they actually did. But 204 for 6, India resume on. But most importantly and worryingly is Chris Wokes, who looks like he's I don't know how you... Surely they would be able to announce that. They've kind of said, it looks like he's dislocated his shoulder. Trust me, if you've dislocated your shoulder, you damn well know you dislocated your shoulder.
Yeah.
So it's not a looks like, he either has or he hasn't, but if he has, the chances are he will not be playing anymore in the next 4 days.
Yeah.
Although they may send him out to bat.
That's got to happen.
One-handed?
Yeah, maybe, because... then you'd have 10 batsmen. So you've got to just maybe put him out and just be like nuisance value. I don't know. It'd be crazy, but we'll see what happens. There are no substitutes, you see. Not allowed. Spurs beat Arsenal yesterday. Did I mention that? Did I mention that?
But where, Paul?
It was in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
It was in Hong Kong.
Why?
Because it was a friendly, because that's where the money is, I guess. So there we are. Spurs fans there in Hong Kong. There were Arsenal fans as well. There's the Arsenal fans on the other side there. They're all waving a flag at each other, not really sure what to do. But Spurs did win due to a Pat Matasar goal from the halfway line. Which was
very
quite
good.
magnificent.
Hopefully a sign of things to come, Coity.
Absolutely.
Can we play birthdays, please?
Right, let's
or
play...
a special edition of birthdays?
Yeah, it's kind of... Well, we've got a few sporting birthdays to start with, so let's go with this one. First one, please... David James. David James, former Liverpool goalkeeper, England goalkeeper, Portsmouth as well.
I'm going 54.
I'm going 56.
50... Oh, jeez, you won't believe it.
55.
It's 55.
Oh, well, that was very good.
I've never known you both go in so quickly.
I know.
Felt like I knew in my bones.
Good. Right, let's go with another one. It's It's Britain's number 2 now, although she was number 1 for a bit, now number 2 again. Katie Boulter will be marrying Alex de Minaur later in the year, I believe.
Oh, right, OK.
Katie Boulter.
I'm going to go 24.
I'm going to go 29.
Is the correct answer. Very good, Ellie.
I didn't even
Would you like to play Guess the Year?
All right, then.
Right, the 1,500-metre Olympic final happened this day, and it was in Moscow, and Sebastian Coe was expected to win the 800 metres, but there we are, there's the rival. Steve Ovett won that, because Ovett's specialty was the 1,500, Coe was the 800. But anyway, Ovett won Ovett won the 800, but then Sebastian Coe won the 1,500 metres. It was this day in Moscow Olympics. What year did it happen?
Moscow Olympics.
Moscow Olympics.
God, 1980.
84.
80, LA 84. 80 was right.
Hey!
Very
that's
good.
Good, well done.
Finally, the oldest surviving sporting contest. So this still happens.
Oh, wow. What's that?
Now, this is from 1937, which was many years after it began. That was the first one. Look at that. There we are. That's a nice job. Hello there. On your marks, get set, go.
Oh, it's the Oxford and Cambridge.
No, it's the Doggett's Coat and Badge for scullers that goes down the Thames.
Oh, right.
So it's the oldest sporting event that is still going. What year did it begin? So it's the oldest sporting... There we go back a long... No, further.
17...
Yes.
1746.
1721.
That's not bad. 6 years out. 1715.
I'll take that.
And it happened this day, was when it began.
Never
back in
heard of it.
1715, although they do it in September these days.
Oh, right.
I'd like that job.
Would you, with a massive megaphone?
You'd be good at it as well.
And a matching hat. That would be perfect.
Very good.
Very good. It's great old pictures, are very old pictures. Love it.
Thanks, Coity.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you. You too.
See you next week.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we'll be going through the papers with Nigel Nelson and Claire Pearsall. There they are. But first, if you want to know where the sun is shining across Europe, here is the forecast.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you or anyone you know is heading further afield this weekend, it's going to be very wet in northern Italy and Slovenia. Fine elsewhere, just 1 or 2 showers for the Canaries, a brisk breeze for Madeira. That breeze actually bringing some warmth to Portugal, into parts of Spain as well. But it's for northern Italy into Slovenia, parts of Croatia. We're going to see some very wet weather over the next few days, that transferring southeast into parts of Greece early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now, the National Memorial to Queen Elizabeth II will include a new bridge in St James's Park, designed by Norman Foster.
Yes, the translucent bridge will be inspired by the tiara the Queen wore on her wedding day.
But let's get more now from St James's Park with our royal correspondent, Cameron Walker. Cameron, what's the memorial going to be like?
Good afternoon, Tom and Emily. Yes, the wait is finally over. We have the final design from the renowned architect Lord Foster, who famously once criticised the King for his views on architecture. But of course, today it's all about honouring Queen Elizabeth II and her legacy. On that theme, at Marlborough Gate, which is the big gate you see behind me, which overlooks the Mall, that's going to be renamed Queen Elizabeth II Place. And there is, according to the artist impression, going to be a big statue of Queen Elizabeth II right riding a horse overlooking the Mall. Of course, incredibly poignant because she had a deep love of all things equine. Incredibly poignant, of course, as well, significant love between Prince Philip and the late Queen. It's going to apparently, according to the architect, or hinted by the architect, light up at night as well, which is meant to symbolise all the diamonds that were part of that tiara. And the Queen famously also gave it to her granddaughter, loaned it to her granddaughter, Princess Beatrice, for her wedding in 2020. And then we come to the final part of St James's Park's Queen Elizabeth II's memorial, and that is going to be right here at the other end of the park, overlooking Birdcage Walk, going to be renamed Prince Philip Gate, because a new statue of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip is going to be erected at the other side of St James's Park. It's meant to be them, according to the artist's impressions, in their younger years.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. We're going through the papers in the company of former political advisor Claire Pearsall and our senior political commentator Nigel Nelson. Morning, you two.
Morning.
Nigel, should we start with Trump's tariffs?
Yeah, and so the threats carry on. He's now talking about putting 35% on Canada. We're waiting for the tariffs for the rest of the world. We've got away with 10%, which we should be, I suppose, quite pleased about. The trouble about these things is that eventually they're going to hurt America. So it will increase inflation.
Are they?
Yeah, because inflation will go up. I mean,
Why?
Because prices go up.
Why?
Because there are tariffs on them.
Yes, but... yes,
Sorry,
but
I know it's a bit basic.
No, but the whole point of this is that they, as they call it, reshore, and they start all this stuff they can manufacture in the United States, so people buy American, tariff-free, prices are lower.
But the trouble is, not all the things that are being tariffed, you can actually buy in America.
At the moment.
So, well, I mean, take, for instance, I don't know, from Mexico, you're going to want Mexican tequila rather than American tequila, and Mexican beer rather than American beer. So there's all sorts of things that will get hit. And then growth starts going down as well. So you actually hit yourself while you're doing these tariffs. I know he makes lots of money out of it, which he does. But eventually it will do harm to the economy.
I think it's one of those things that, especially in the car industry, that's where it gets hit really hard, because you've got parts of cars made in one place. They're put together over the border in Mexico because obviously the labour force is cheaper, and then it's shipped back into the States to go and be put into an engine. So it's things like that, and the American consumer will pay a heavy price on those. But when you're looking at things like pharmaceuticals, which is the story in the Telegraph, that I do, in some respects, think he has a point when Trump is saying, look, these are American firms. We pile a lot of money into research and development for drugs, which then the rest of the world get at a really knockdown cheap price. Where's the fairness there? And I can kind of understand that. If you've got an American company putting millions and millions of dollars into research for something that is going to benefit the rest of us, but we want it cheaper, then I can understand why he wants to put tariffs on those. I do think that it is also a negotiating point for Trump, especially when it comes to the United Kingdom with things like drug tariffs, because the NHS is going to be the major consumer of those drugs in the UK. It's going to be a point of negotiation between the two countries as to whatever it is that we are not doing.
Is it right for Trump to say that the way that our drug companies like AstraZeneca pay for the extra cost in America is to put the extra cost onto the NHS? I mean, it shouldn't be for Trump to actually be turning around and saying, oh, you just charge the NHS more for the drugs that you're selling them.
But they don't have to do that. Those companies could take the hit themselves should they wish. I mean, you're talking about pharmaceutical companies which do get in a large amount of money in the first place. And no, I don't think you should charge the NHS more. The NHS should be a much better bargainer than it actually is. The amount that it pays for drugs is quite often over and above the cost price of them anyway. So I don't think that their negotiations are up to much. But I think that we need to look at the way pharmaceutical, especially research and development, is funded in the UK. We also need to look at other countries and how they do it, and we cannot benefit from something if we're not going to pay into it. So I think the whole drugs industry needs looking at. But I don't think he's wrong from an American point of view. If you are an American, you would want to know that your money is going into that development and there is some kind of fair process if you're selling it out around the world.
Claire, let's have a look, shall we? This is our top story this morning that we've been speaking about, the front page of The Telegraph. Labour's plot to silence migrant hotel critics.
I always worry when you see these kind of stories because I don't like state intervention when you're talking about free speech and policing of thought. It makes me very, very uncomfortable. Now, there are laws in place. Should somebody break the law and post something up that is inciting hatred, then we have laws to protect that already. Why we need a shadowy unit to go deliberately looking for things? I don't think that is
except, I mean, the Home Secretary announced even last week they were launching an elite police unit to look at this sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know how elite it's going to be, but the whole point is it's gathering intelligence. Nowadays, a lot of the intelligence comes on social media. So if you think that if you can predict through social media there might be a riot here or violence there, because a protest will get out of hand, that seems to me a sensible precaution. You can then have policing done properly, police in waiting, not necessarily on the streets, but ready to actually act in case it happens.
But it doesn't come across as that. It's not suggesting that you're gathering intelligence about where flashpoints are going to be, which...
Well, it is.
No, it isn't. It's looking at...
It's not censorship is the point.
It's looking at what people are putting, so they're going to then
see where the tensions are.
But then why are they including stuff about two-tier policing?
Same thing applies. So wherever you see something which might be causing tensions, if you've got people banging on about two-tier policing, that could be an indicator there's going to be a problem in a certain area. It doesn't mean they can't comment about two-tier policing. It just means that you look at those comments and see if it gives you any kind of indication of what might happen.
But I think that we've already seen that. Anybody posting up views that were not of the government's liking last year were rounded up and put in front of judges. So I don't think you can say that this is over.
These are things that broke the law. I mean, the whole point was that
and now they're going to do this and they're going to expand it out to everything that anybody is putting online. I do think that for a government that is talking about free speech as the bastion of this country, they clamp down on it a hell of a lot because it's stuff that they don't like.
But you object to undercover police trying to find out what is going on in an attempt to prevent any future violence,
no, but I don't want them to go across the internet and look at somebody that's used the words two-tier and policing in a sentence and just go, oh, well, look, we'll have to keep an eye on them. They're going to be on our radar
but that's
now.
Not the idea. That's not the idea.
Right, on that note, we've got to leave it, you two. It's been a pleasure, as always. Thank you very much indeed.
Let's take a look at the weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a fine start out there for many of us. Bright spells will continue through the rest of the day, but further showers are expected, particularly across central and eastern parts of the UK. And it will feel a little fresher with our winds coming from the north-northwest. The heaviest showers as we go through the morning are expected across parts of northern England, into the Midlands, as well as East Anglia and the southeast. Some more persistent rain perhaps into the far east of Norfolk and Suffolk as the day goes on. Brightest weather towards the west and the southwest. Temperatures reaching 23 Celsius, so a little cooler compared with the last few days. But a fine day for many away from those showers, and even where we've got the showers, plenty of bright spells, and it will brighten up further as the evening approaches, most of the showers disappearing. A dry end to the day for Western Scotland into Northern Ireland, cloud well broken, particularly around coastal areas, and I think for parts of northwest England, North Wales, some decent sunny spells are expected into the evening. The south and southwest likewise a fine end to the day. 1 or 2 showers just continuing for a few hours across the Midlands as well as the North Sea coast. Then we go overnight with clear spells widely and a cooler night compared with recent nights. Still some patchy cloud and a bit of a brisk breeze blowing down the North Sea coast, but temperatures dipping widely to 10 or 11 Celsius, perhaps staying up in the mid-teens in some urban areas. Saturday starts off with plenty of sunshine, particularly towards the west. It's in the east where we've still got some patchy cloud, 1 or 2 showers developing as the day goes on, and a breeze down the North Sea coast. But away from those showers, actually decent sunny spells for many. Saturday's looking like a fine day before the next area of cloud, and rain approaches in the far northwest, and then a more unsettled period Sunday into Monday.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M9 between junctions 3 and 4 faces restrictions due to maintenance. Motorists should allow extra travel time. The A20 eastbound between A256 Dover West and the junction with A2 is congested, with 10-minute delays anticipated, normalising by 9 this morning. Diversions are from the A40 Gibraltar tunnels to Mitchell-Troy due to closures. And on the trains, disruption on South Western Railway between Windsor and Eton Riverside, Virginia Water and Feltham. Buses replace trains. Hull Trains operates a reduced service due to industrial action. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The government's plans to silence migrant hotel critics.
Leaked emails exposed by the Telegraph newspaper reveal a secretive Whitehall unit targeting social media posts critical of migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
Well, the move has sparked accusations of censorship, critics claiming the government is stifling free speech amid rising concerns over immigration policies. We spoke to the Shadow Home Office Minister Katie Lamb earlier.
peaceful protest is a basic democratic right, and I think if the government is going to be monitoring people, it makes me feel very uneasy.
Shocking new stats reveal foreigners make up 1 in 8 of the prison population, with experts pointing to record immigration fueling the issue.
The number of foreign prisoners charged with serious sexual or violent offences surges by 10% in a year. What will the government do about it?
The 90-day pause on Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs expires. The US government announces sweeping new levies for scores of countries.
1 year on since the summer of unrest, today we'll return to the heart of those communities where anger erupted and the pressures of migration are still being felt.
Well, there's no doubt that now the government talks about community cohesion and the importance of keeping communities together, but there are still tensions around migrant hotels around the country.
Well, it was a turning point last year, both for politics and for trust in the community. We're here in Aldershot to see whether anything has been happened, anything changed, and whether people here feel represented.
Should be calling out wrongdoing, actually. I mean, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's safe, and that's for each person to make a judgment. But I think it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose criminality where it occurs.
Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp encourages people to call out crime as he recalls his own experience of citizen policing in an interview with, yes, you guessed it, Christopher Hope.
Yorkshire bursts with pride as the county celebrates Yorkshire Day. We'll be joining the festivities with vibrant markets, music and street games, showcasing the very best of local makers, food and culture.
Ahead of a potentially very windy spell early next week, we've got some fine weather on offer over the next few days. Still a few showers, but otherwise plenty of sunny spells. Coming up in the forecast very soon.
Just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Just before we get stuck in with Mark White and Chopper here, there's this, we haven't seen enough of Christopher Hope already in the headlines this morning.
Dominating the news agenda.
Our esteemed colleague, Jacob Rees-Mogg. Do you know, I've never actually met him.
Neither have I.
Because he's on the other end of the day.
Apparently he's very charming.
Apparently so. Anyway, we know he's a toff, right? I mean, it's no secret. Anyway, and we know he doesn't own a pair of jeans.
Does he not?
No. But he's now said, I've never asked my tailor if he deals in denim, but for £2 million, many things are possible. So, apparently, the Daily Star have got it that he will wear jeans if you pay him £2 million.
And this is after Sydney Sweeney was wearing jeans, for some American brand. I think she got £2 million for it.
Oh, is that where it comes from?
American Eagle, that's it. She wore jeans for American Eagle, got paid £2 million. So then Jacob Rees-Mogg said, well, I'd take $2 million and wear a pair of jeans as well. I think we all would.
Come on, that'd be worth seeing.
He'd probably wear a tie, though.
Denim tie? Do you mean entirely in denim?
He likes ties.
You could do him with a full denim suit and tie.
Yes, double-breasted denim suit.
Honestly, someone should do that as an advertising campaign. It would be fantastic.
He's good, though. He likes wearing his ties and a denim suit.
Always looks... he looks very smart, yeah.
I just think it'd be great. But if he does get it, I want a cut of that.
I think a boiler suit. No, like a denim boiler suit, jumpsuit.
Rees-Mogg boiler suit.
Yeah, I think there's a market for that.
Do you think?
I'd pay good money. Didn't he have a reality show?
Did it happen?
He did one series.
I think...
on a...
That would land him a second series.
Satellite channel.
If he got into...
So it's been and gone. I remember it being touted, but I didn't ever see it.
I think the election came too soon because it was going to be building up towards the election last autumn and it came in July, and I think the timing wasn't great for them.
And then he lost his seat, so...
Lost his seat.
That's
back on GB News, though.
Yes, well, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Did they do pinstriped denim?
They do.
Oh, but do they?
Yeah, you can get pinstriped
Well, there
denim.
you go.
It's like having your own fashion correspondent.
That would be perfect for him. We could make it work for him.
Absolutely.
Could do.
I think it's a very good idea.
Right. Anyway, look, enough of this chit-chat, because there's stuff to be getting on with this morning. And a secretive Whitehall spy unit has reportedly been used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing.
Well, according to the Telegraph newspaper, emails obtained by a US committee reveal that civil servants raised concerns with social media platforms, warning that certain posts contained concerning narratives.
The reports have sparked accusations of state censorship, something the Home Office strenuously denies.
Well, meanwhile, the number of foreign-born prisoners in England and Wales is now higher than at any point since 2013, accounting for 1 in 8 of the total prison population.
Let's cross to Westminster. We can talk to the Home Office Minister, Diana Johnson. Good morning to you. It's lovely to see you this morning. What can you tell us about, well, not only this, the Telegraph claims that there's this sort of Whitehall spy group looking at our tweets and what have you, but also we know the Home Office itself announced last week it was setting up this elite police force to look at anti-immigration tweets. Are we having our free speech monitored?
No, we're not having our free speech monitored at all. And it's absolutely right that people can express their views within the law on social media. What I would say is that the police, and particularly last autumn, when we had the disorder in August, actually, it was absolutely right that the police should be looking and monitoring what was being put onto social media in terms of organisation of riots and have that information to allow them then to plan what they needed to provide in terms of protecting the public. So that's what that's about. Can I also just say the story in the Telegraph, my understanding is that unit that's referred to was actually set up under the previous government, and also that no officials have ever asked for anything to be taken down in terms of expressing a sentiment about immigration or hotels.
But we are hearing, it does make people very uncomfortable, that civil servants and officials working for Peter Carr, the Technology Secretary, have flagged videos with concerning narratives to social media giants. So who decides what is and what isn't a concerning narrative?
Well, obviously there are issues around incitement, and if there are criminal offences being committed, that's obviously a matter then for the police, but also for social media companies to take down that type of content. But in terms, again, of free speech, of people being able to express their views freely, that's a very important part of our democracy. It's not something that I recognise as being impeded by the actions that the police, who I have some knowledge of, are taking in terms of keeping us safe and monitoring social media for anything that might be moving towards rioting or disorder in the way we saw last summer.
You see, what strikes me with all of this, and I'm more interested in a sense in the elite police unit that the Home Office announced last week when it comes to these sort of issues, is what you want to talk about today is the fact that there's been this Plan for Change initiative involving police and communities hit by knife crime, and the fact it has seen a reduction in knife crime and people being threatened by knives, which is brilliant news. Yep. It's a plague in this country. It's really, really positive that action is being taken with this. But I can't help but look at this and go, well, if this is being driven by working with the police, why are we taking police from all over the country to set up an elite force to look at tweets?
No, I don't think that's an accurate reflection of what's happening. If you recall last summer, one of the issues was about the use of social media in terms of that disorder, and the fact that the police were monitoring what was going on, the call to attend at certain places, and then there was disorder that resulted because of that. What came out of the review of what happened last summer was that we need to be smarter about using social media to identify where problems are developing, and that's what this new unit is about. It's about having a more coordinated response for police forces to understand where communities may be being put in danger because of organisation around riots and violent disorder. That's what it's about. It's certainly not about monitoring or looking at free speech and people's ability to say what they believe should or shouldn't happen in terms of immigration policy.
We were speaking to the Conservatives about an hour ago, and they were highlighting new figures that reveal there are 10,772 foreign national offenders in British prisons, and they put that as a cost to the British taxpayer at £360 million. And we know our prison system is overcrowded, is almost at capacity. Why aren't we deporting foreign nationals from our prisons?
We are. We are, and during the course of the last 12 months, we've deported 5,200 foreign national offenders. That's a 14% increase on what the previous Conservative government managed to do. So I don't think we need to listen to what they're saying. We're actually getting on and doing it. We're also reducing the amount of time that a foreign national offender has to serve before they can then be removed from 50% of their sentence to 30%. And we're putting additional resources into prisons to make sure that we can speed up this whole process of getting these foreign national offenders out of our country. So we are acting on this.
But there's an argument to say, isn't there, why even 30%? I mean, the punishment could be the fact that they're removed from the country they want to be in and hopefully are imprisoned in their country of origin. But even if they're not, they're still out of this country and can't return.
Well, you make an interesting point there. The only thing I would say in response is, I think for victims, they want to feel that justice has been done and served. And so actually serving a proportion of sentence in this country, it serves that in terms of victims feeling that there is action on consequences for whatever that offender has done. And you don't know for some countries, if they are returned, whether they would remain in prison or within, what would happen to them. So there is a sense of justice for the victim that we have to bear in mind, and that's why I think setting it 30% is quite a reasonable thing to do.
OK, Dame Diana Johnson, we're out of time with you this morning, but thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. Thank you. Let's talk to our political editor, Christopher Hope. What do you think, Chris?
Well, a number of issues raised there. I mean, it's the last issue there on the foreign-born prisoners. That is a rising issue. I mean, 1,700 foreign criminals now charged with violent, sex or theft offences. That is a concern. That's now over 10,000 now in our jails. That's 1 in 8. What do we do? Well, we have Reform UK saying they'll send them all back. But, of course, there are Brits overseas in foreign jails. That might mean they come back here. Maybe that's a good thing. Well, why not? Good thing, maybe a good thing. Don't know. I mean, I think it's a lingering and a problem. I think you've got Nigel Farage trying to link increasing crime with increasing immigration. That's a connection which the government won't want to make, but may be increasingly made through this August.
I'd be quite intrigued. I mean, I don't know how you'd find out. It'd have to be a major study. But this idea, I mean, Dame Diana makes a very good point in saying, well, what about a sense of justice here for those victims of crime? But I'd like to know if people would feel the justice is served by them serving 30% of their sentence before being deported, or whether they would get justice by having them removed from the country.
Removed and then serving their time
somewhere else.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one to gauge, isn't it?
But you know, should they be here in the first place if they're anyway being allowed to be deported? And on that unit there, you mentioned there at the beginning of the interview, I thought that was fascinating. I remember we're old enough to remember the COVID unit. Which was set up to try and suppress criticism of the vaccine programme and the like. The government has been on the back foot throughout on this. They've changed its name. It was called Anti-Discounter and Disinformation Unit. It's now called something like something more neutral. But the idea that the feeling that there's a Big Brother unit within Whitehall watching what we tweet, stepping in, going after these social media companies, asking what they're doing about it is concerning and does counter freedom of speech. What the government says for its part is they think that some of these posts are against the terms and conditions of when you tweet and use TikTok and the like, and therefore they're trying to urge them to take action. But it's a very, very fine line.
So just very briefly, Chris, I'll tell you what worries me about all of this is that these are really big issues and they are important. But what it has resulted in is the fact that we are losing attention on the fact that, whether you like this government or not, they have, with this new scheme, managed to reduce knife crime in several areas across the country quite significantly. Now, that's a really important story, but it gets lost because it's a wash in all these other issues.
Yes, that is vital, and the ban on zombie knives coming out today. The previous problem with all these bans is how do you define a zombie knife in law? It should say the word zombie knife on it. to be banned. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous, but making it stick is difficult.
Yeah. OK. Christopher Hope, thank you. Good to see you.
Now, it is a bit of a gear change, but it's the last day for you to win £54,321. It could be you, but you've got to take part by 4 o'clock today. Here's how.
There's only a few hours left now to see how you can win big. £54,321 in tax-free cash is up for grabs in our summer Great British giveaway. Cash to spend on anything you like. All of that cash could send you on a holiday, boost your savings, or just send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing. Lines close at 4 p.m. today, so get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Still ridiculous.
Now,
I know.
do stay with us. Still to come. It is 1 year on since the summer of unrest. And today we will return to the heart of those communities where, of course, those simmering tensions still very much there. We'll be talking about that next.
It's Patrick Christys tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christys tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in a chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Now, 12 months ago, Britain was on the brink. In the wake of the horrific Southport murders, emotions ran very high and unrest poured onto the streets.
But 12 months on, with protests against migrant hotels breaking out, we're asking this morning, has Britain learnt anything? And are our communities more divided now than ever?
Oh, one of those places that saw trouble was Aldershot. Jack Carson is there for us. Hi, Jack.
Yeah, good morning to you both. And if you think about it, very much a turning point, not only in politics with the Labour government only in power for about a month when the disorder started to break out, but a turning point in a lot of communities and an example of where trust possibly in politicians, trust in people, whether they feel like the issues that are important to them are being represented, showed that was eroding. Now, here in Aldershot, we did see disorder at a protest, at a demonstration of around 200 people that broke into disorder. There was injuries to an emergency worker, and there were multiple people arrested, charged and sentenced as well after that disorder broke out. One of those that pleaded guilty within that disorder was a 13-year-old girl, and that disorder very much was reflected across the country as well. But a year on, has anything changed? That's the question that we're asking in Aldershot. We're asking people today. You'll hear from residents a little bit later on as we speak to them to find out whether the issues to them that are important to them, whether they feel like they are being represented. From some of the people we've spoken to, housing is a big issue here. There is a frustration that people cannot get access to housing, and migrant hotels which are housing migrants while their asylum claims are processed, they feel let down that they are being given housing, but they are not. There's all range of different issues. Earlier on, we spoke to Councillor Gareth Lyons. He's the leader of the Conservative group here. Here's what he told us.
A year ago, we did see some very ugly scenes here. Thankfully, we are seeing a lot less of them now, but those concerns that underlie them are still there. People do feel that they're not being listened to, that their concerns are not being taken seriously, and attempts to try and shut down the debate are really not helping that and are potentially just storing up more trouble for the future. Even if you're able to push them under the surface, even if you're able to intimidate people so they won't raise their concerns, they are still there. And as I say, the only way that we've been able to make things a success here in Aldershot and in Farnborough has been to make sure that we do have a proper dialogue, that we do have that kind of community engagement, and that overall that politicians must be listening and showing that they are taking these concerns seriously. And until we do that, we'll just keep on seeing a return of the kinds of trouble that we had last year.
And there is a question as to whether those concerns that people have here have actually been met over the past year. We have seen consistent protests here in Aldershot at a migrant hotel locally. There are still more planned protests at that hotel. You mentioned as well before coming to me the likes of protests that we've seen in Epping recently and also at sites across the country. So there are still real concerns that people have here. You heard from the councillor there that he believes more work needs to be done, and there are all kinds of issues that stems from. Here in Aldershot, a proud military town, once home to the British Army, still home to multiple different regiments. There's a range of issues here. We're going to be speaking to local residents today to find out that question is over the last year, since that disorder initially broke out. Have things changed? Do they feel represented? Stay with us today on GB News.
OK, Jack Carson there for us in Aldershot. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there'll be lots of coverage on Britain's Newsroom coming up on all of that, of course. Before we let you go, it's just something which I thought was very, very British that's in the papers this morning. What do we love most when we're abroad, do you think, as Brits? This is a survey done by... No, trying foreign crisps.
Yeah, it's true. On the balcony.
Proper ice cream and morning pastries from a bistro. Cafe, but trying foreign crisps, I just think is brilliant.
Crisps.
Couldn't get more British than that.
Yeah, what a lovely way to end on a Friday. Britain's Newsroom up next.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a fine start out there for many of us. Bright spells will continue through the rest of the day, but further showers are expected, particularly across central and eastern parts of the UK. and it will feel a little fresher with our winds coming from the north-northwest. The heaviest showers as we go through the morning are expected across parts of northern England into the Midlands as well as East Anglia and the southeast. Some more persistent rain perhaps into the far east of Norfolk and Suffolk as the day goes on. Brightest weather towards the west and the southwest. Temperatures reaching 23 Celsius, so a little cooler compared with the last few days. But a fine day for many away from those showers, and even where we've got the showers, plenty of bright spells. And it will brighten up further as the evening approaches, most of the showers disappearing. A dry end to the day for Western Scotland into Northern Ireland. Cloud well broken, particularly around coastal areas, and I think for parts of northwest England, North Wales, some decent sunny spells are expected into the evening. The south and southwest likewise a fine end to the day. 1 or 2 showers just continuing for a few hours across the Midlands as well as the North Sea coast. Then we go overnight with clear spells widely and a cooler night compared with recent nights. Still some patchy cloud and a bit of a brisk breeze blowing down the North Sea coast, but temperatures dipping widely to 10 or 11 Celsius, perhaps staying up in the mid-teens in some urban areas. Saturday starts off with plenty of sunshine, particularly towards the west. It's in the east where we've still got some patchy cloud, 1 or 2 showers developing as the day goes on, and a breeze down the North Sea coast. But away from those showers, actually decent sunny spells for many. Saturday's looking like a fine day before the next area of cloud, and rain approaches in the far northwest, and then a more unsettled period Sunday into Monday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Currently, the M9 between junctions 3 and 4 has restrictions due to planned maintenance. Drivers should proceed with caution and allocate extra time. On the A40, a closure is in effect from Gibraltar Tunnels to Mitchell Troy, with diversions set in place. The A663 southbound at its junction with the M60 is congested. It is recommended drivers plan their journeys carefully. And on the trains, South Western Railway reports major disruptions between Windsor and Eton Riverside, Virginia Water and Feltham, with buses replacing trains to and from Crewkerne. Hull Trains has reduced services due to industrial action. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Cleethorpes here has a rich military history. Today, 200,000 people are going to be turning up, and all around there are the celebrations of those veterans and those current serving military personnel. Now, we're here with the guys from HMS Antrim. Let's go and have a chat to a few of them. Nigel Smith, we'll come to you first. Hi. Now, you've got this beautiful bench which has been you've done and commissioned. Tell us about HMS Antrim and that story, because I don't think it's something actually a lot of people probably know.
So HMS Antrim was in the Falklands War in 1982. We were a bunch of young lads, 17 years old, going to war. No idea what was happening, when it was happening. We're just told we're going down south and we're going to war with the Argentinians. To be honest, half of them thought we was going up north to Scotland. So you imagine it's been 17 years old, we're on a warship, join the Navy, see the world, and suddenly we're all going to war at 17-year-old. And we're all, well, half a dozen of us here at the moment.
For you, what does Armed Forces Day mean for you? You've got your bench here, you know, you're celebrating here today. Is it about a celebration of the forces? What does it mean for you today?
For me, it's literally celebrating the brotherhood of the Antrim, plus recognising what the armed forces do. It's under-recognised, and the country doesn't really have an armed forces anymore. And this, they need to start thinking, we need the armed forces. Back in '82, we had best part of 100 warships. You don't have that anymore. So we had the camaraderie, we knew what we were doing. It's all computerised anymore now and stuff like that, but nobody knows what we did in '82, and that was a big thing for the Antrim. We were the first ship since World War II to sink a submarine for a start. We were the first ship down there, the last ship back, and we went back down there 2 months after we had a repair damage done. You know, and it is the camaraderie of the lads and the teamwork.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello, good morning to you. It's 9:30 on Friday, August the 1st, live across the UK. This is Britain's Newsroom with Ben Leo and Nana Akua.
Yes, good morning to you. Censoring dissent. Find out about the secretive Whitehall spy unit used by the government to monitor your social media posts and will target anyone criticising asylum seekers. Home Office Minister Dame Diana Johnson spoke to BBC News Breakfast earlier.
It's certainly not about monitoring or looking at free speech and people's ability to say what they believe should or shouldn't happen in terms of immigration policy.
Elsewhere, Epping Hotel protests continue. Demonstrators gathered again outside the Bell Hotel with placards reading, "Protect our kids." They say they won't stop until the Bell Hotel is closed.
12 months of turmoil, 1 year on since the summer of unrest, and fresh protests breaking out across the country as asylum hotels has Britain learned anything?
Well, 12 months on, the government says it is alive to the tensions in those communities, but clearly with more migrant protests, the situation is tense.
Foreign convicts surge. 1 in 8 of all prisoners in the UK are born overseas, as sex offenders in that group soar nearly 10%, rising 3 times faster than British inmates. Why not just deport them all?
I think people should be calling out wrongdoing, actually. I mean, it's up to them to decide whether they feel it's safe, and that's for each person to make a judgment. But I think it's reasonable for the public to call out and expose criminality where it occurs.
That's Chris Philp speaking on Chopper's podcast. But would you call out crime? Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp is encouraging people to do just that, as he says Brits should not be afraid to challenge wrongdoing and criminality.
Heathrow shuts down. Sir Keir Starmer's set to go to battle with Sir Sadiq Khan and Labour backbenchers to force through a 3rd runway at Heathrow.
Hey up, it's Yorkshire Day. How you doing out to celebrate it? We'll be joining in with some of the festivities shortly.
Good morning to you. Thank you for your company this morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you
Good, yeah, not bad. Big show coming up, including, of course, a year on since the summer riots last year. We've got reporters and Martin Daubney all across the country. Martin's in Sunderland, I believe. Has anything changed since last summer? Do you feel more confident that the government's got a grip of things?
Of course they haven't. They've let loose. It's just frightening. And, of course, that was Home Office Minister Dame Diana Johnson. Excuse me, speaking to us here on GB News, not the BBC. Did I say BBC?
You might say BBC.
Nah,
Doesn't matter.
I could never say that.
The BBC may have been in your mind because, as far as I understand, for the majority of last month, we may have... No, I haven't revealed the secret just yet.
No, but you're giving it away.
But for the majority of last month, we may have beaten them in the ratings, which is good. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, big show coming up. Let us know what you think. gbnews.com/your say. First, though, let's get your 60-second news update with Lewis McKenzie.
Good morning. The headlines from the GB Newsroom. It's been revealed foreign-born prisoners account for 1 in 8 of the total UK jail population. Conservative MP Katie Lamb says any foreigner who commits a crime in the UK should be removed from the country.
They all need to be deported. So the Conservatives actually in Parliament tried to amend the law, the Borders Bill that the government passed earlier this year, to say that everybody who commits a crime will need to leave the country. And I and my Shadow Home Office colleagues tabled those amendments and voted for them. The government voted them down, but there is absolutely no reason to have foreign criminals in the UK.
Reports suggest a Whitehall spy unit is being used by the government to target social media posts criticising migrant hotels and two-tier policing. The US announces fresh tariffs on more than 90 countries as Donald Trump's deadline to strike trade deals passes. Tariffs on the UK remain at 10%. And authorities at Heathrow Airport say a 3rd runway can be built for £21 billion within a decade. This would enable an additional 276,000 flights per year. Well, those are your GB News headlines for now. More from me in half an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good morning, 9:35. Ben and Nana with you on Britain's Newsroom on GB News. Hope you're well. Thank you for your company.
Yes, now 12 months ago, Britain was on the brink in the wake of the horrific Southport attack. Emotions ran high and unrest poured onto our streets.
But 1 year on, with protests against migrant hotels breaking out, has Britain learnt anything? Has the government learnt anything? Or are our communities more divided than ever?
We're joining us now, Home and Security Editor Mark White in the studio. So, Mark, what can you tell us? Of course, if we take our minds back to Southport and what happened then and where we are now.
Well, of course, what happened with Southport was the horrific stabbings that took place that really brought about very significant anger and tensions. And then in the days that followed that, we saw the spark of that anger turn to disorder, not just in Southport, but in communities across particularly the north of England. And where we are 12 months on, well, the government does acknowledge the issue around tensions that illegal migration in particular is bringing to communities across the country. It seems to be more willing to discuss this, but the tensions are still there. The migrant hotels are still there, and incidents alleged linked to migrants are also still there, which are further stoking tensions. And we've seen just in the last month or so a number of protests again, which I think is deeply alarming for the government. The fact that there are a number of protests now at multiple sort of migration hotels around the country. We had seen after Southport, and actually it was a couple of years back ago, there was lots of protests outside migrant hotels. It was a thing. And then it kind of died away. Southport was a different entity. It was sparked by the real and visceral anger that had happened after the stabbings, but also on top of that, the tensions that